Hi, this is Naroki5. I am going to be doing this until I die or I find something better to do. So please help me achieve this personal and, I think, noble objective by contributing to my Patreon or Subscribe Star. Link is down below. Every little bit helps. Thank you very much.
We are live. Hello, folks. Welcome to Red Pill Nation Hangout number 322. I am back home. I am no longer within spitting distance of the Arctic Circle, although I might be back there within a week. Who knows?
This episode of RPN has been brought to you by Pfizer, because everything has been brought to you by Pfizer.
And don't forget to sample Pfizer's new product, the Blue Pill. Yes, sirree, folks. You feeling conflicted and confused and frustrated about all of the contradictory information that you're getting from quote unquote unofficial sources? Well, Pfizer has come up with a new product, the Blue Pill. Yes, take the Blue Pill and you will be completely satisfied and be a fully active social justice warrior and activist with the best of them in complete denial of reality. That's right.
Blue hair sold separately.
Yep, they are. And it also doubles
with a slap from Will Smith.
Exactly. And also it doubles as Viagra.
Because if you're going to take the jabs that make you infertile, you may as well have a little fun in the meantime.
Exactly. And also, don't forget the memory rock. Yes, the memory rock. It's just nothing more than a rock with the word memory written on it. If you forget something, take the rock and go until what you're trying to do.
But if you overuse it, you'll become like Biden.
Exactly. Don't overuse or you'll turn into Biden. Just until you remember or unconsciousness results. Either way, the memory rock will have done its job. That's right, folks. The memory rock. Please avoid overuse. Too much overuse of the memory rock will turn you into a clone of Joe Biden.
And then, when you're done beating your head and your meat, let's not forget the Orange Man Bad Hand Balm.
Oh, yes. Are you still not over 2016? That's right. We're Orange Man Bad Hand Balm is the thing for you. If you just can't get over the fact that Donald Trump won the presidency in 2016 and feel compelled to tweet about him 16 times a day, like Stephen King, Mark Hamill, and a few other celebrities out there. Just remember Orange Man Bad Hand Balm to avoid those uncomfortable blisters and chafing that result from extensive use of your hand to your privates. That's right, Orange Man Bad Hand Balm. With the new Stephen King smoky, spooky version coming out just for Halloween.
Yeah, but for those who for those who instead like to kiss the ass, QAnon lipstick sold separately.
Exactly. Okay, so as now that we've got all our commercial sponsors out of the way, I am Naroki. With me tonight is my usual partner in crime and the actual secret inventor of Orange Man Bad Hand Balm. Rearson, introduce yourself.
Not so much the inventor, just the special effects sound guy. And I assure you, folks,
and the frequent field tester of the product.
No matter what I'm going to say, it'll be misconstrued.
Once upon a Gimsuit Sunday.
After rigorous male Kegel exercises.
No, my name's not Trudeau. I'll leave that on, and I make no apologies for that one.
They're great!
Yeah, for him, they just come in sizes, little boy small sizes. But anyway, I just... It's all in the cheeks. It's all in the cheeks, folks. It's all in the cheeks. Gotta relax.
Oh.
As I said, no matter what I'm going to say, this is all going to be completely misconstrued, so fuck it. Whatever. Here at the Red Pill Nation Hangout, our standards are...
No standards.
Exactly. So...
You're taking it up the butt, just say, please, Klaus, slow down a bit, would ya?
or Nicole. You know, you got to specify which one.
Or Michelle. We know which one of those.
Big Mike. Yeah, that one. Oh, fuck.
All right. So also joining us tonight is he's almost semi-regular at the moment. V, introduce yourself.
Well, you know, I would be more regular if I had my fiber and if I could actually get Skype to ring. Literally, yet again, I'm sitting here by the phone this morning thinking, I think we're going to have a show today. And, you know, the only thing I can hear from Skype is that little, like my phone is just having an ejaculation over and over again.
It needs Orange Man Bad Handball, I'm telling you.
That little notification is all I get. I still cannot get it to ring. But anyways, yes, it's me, V, from the Red Pill Hardcore Radio Show and other shows and what have you. From TLBTalk.com. Got to promote the social network. And, yeah, I'm here.
And, of course, Kelso.
As usual, I am Dave Kelso from PSEC Media. PSEC meaning Paradigm Shift in Educational Comedy. And if you search that out on Odyssey.com, Odyssey's been making a lot of improvements in their interface that I've been taking advantage of, including lots of playlists, not only of our stuff here, but, you know, Max Egan and Vinny Eastwood and Red Pill Nation, and, you know, the list goes on and on. I got a nice comprehensive playlist, and when you go on the channels tab, I have a list of channels under different categories that I think you'll like, again, including Red Pill Nation, although on Odyssey he's listed as Naroki 5, but, you know, you'll find all the RPN stuff there. But yeah, when you go to my channel on Odyssey, you will find my stuff and oh so much more, and it's as organized as I could possibly make it. So I think you'll enjoy yourself. And speaking of enjoying yourself, for those who are not scared of the truth, and you know, maybe are someone who has just recently decided not to be a normie anymore because they're, you know, starting to realize that the coincidence theorists are wrong and are starting to become evil terrorists who ask questions, because, you know, only evil terrorists ask questions according to the federal government of the United States. But anyway, this isn't a sponsor, but one thing I have purchased recently, you can buy this on Amazon. It's by Really Graceful. The Deep State Encyclopedia Exposing the Cabal's Playbook. It's got a ton of different subjects in there, and just like any good encyclopedia should, each topic just has a few small pages, pretty large font too, a few small pages just to give you kind of a clear primer and, you know, move people in the right direction of doing their own research. Again, that thing that the federal government says is a terrorist activity. So, you know, I've been browsing this and have been enjoying myself so far. So far, I think it's very well put together, and that can be purchased on Amazon.com. Again, they are not a sponsor. Really Graceful did not tell me to say this. I'm not getting money. It's just simply a fact that I bought the thing and have been reading it, so I just wanted to share.
Thank you. One other thing, Kelso, before we get on with the with the shilling and the
better than getting
actual,
off with Trudeau.
Yeah, with the shilling and the other stuff tonight. Teal Swan, that one video you posted up about with Teal Swan talking, that was an interesting one. I'm noticing that Teal Swan's been doing. There's been an uptake of that. Maybe we should be giving her. I don't know. Maybe she saw our video. Maybe she didn't. But there's some of the stuff that I'm listening to when she talks. It's almost as if she was aware of some of the stuff that we were talking about when we did that special on Teal Swan a few months back.
Well, my guess on that is because of the various attacks that she suffered due to no offense to Teal Swan being I can't talk today, being, shall we say, naive enough to let the mainstream come in and do what they did. I think it has probably been encouraging her to actually start doing more research than maybe she had been doing. So maybe she's been getting her education on cultural Marxism and the implications, and is starting to address topics that need to be addressed. And in that video, with the one, I think it's called Nice Guys Kill or something similarly named, she goes into the difference between nice and kindness, whereas nice is like, I'm going to appease because I don't want to offend anyone, because I want to keep my SGI score and adhere to the diversity, equity, and inclusion and blah, blah, blah. Yeah, she also mentioned in there your favorite video, the one about, why are women attracted to assholes. So yeah, heard a lot of her stuff has been really improving a lot, and I'm glad to see it. Even though Joppy'd be like, oh, cult, shriek. Well, whatever. Joppy can think what he wants. Yeah. Anyway, but yeah, you are correct in your observation, Naroki.
Yeah, that new age community, and I mean, again, that covers just like the manosphere. When you say manosphere, you think one thing, but it's actually several different things. Same thing. New age covers a lot of territory, but the general new age community is just infested with wokeism. Like, probably one of the worst. Probably of all the groups out there, probably one of the worst.
Yeah, it's very unfortunate. As if your generic New Ager wasn't aggravating enough, now we add in the woke sauce. Ugh.
Anyway, so yeah.
Well, you know what you tell those New Agers? You say, look, if you're manifesting your reality, then it's your own fault that Orange Man bad and systemic racism and whatever. So why don't you take some personal responsibility in your life, manifest some other reality, and stop acting like a victim, you toddler twat in a grown-up body.
Exactly. Anyway, getting on with the show. Those of you who don't know, I am at Patreon as Naroki 5. I'm subscribed to Stars Red Pill Nation. I post up the content at YouTube because it's easier to share elsewhere, and I still ended up getting a community guideline strike today anyway, but so there will be no loading up there. But I'm not telling you what that YouTube channel is because I'm not making it official. However, I am at Rumble, BitChute, Odyssey, MGTOW TV. I am also at TLB Talks. You're welcome, V. Facebook, Minds, Gab, MeWe, and a couple of other places. Like, again, I do have multiple Twitter channels. I am considering moving one over to have it be the official Twitter channel, but I have not reached that conclusion as of yet. I will let you know. So the topics for tonight, and ironically enough, since I mentioned Twitter right off the bat, that is topic number 1. Twitter rebranded as X. Topic number 2, student debt relief struck down in U.S. Supreme Court. 3, this one just absolutely boggles my mind. 13 nations agreed to abolish farming to save the planet. Topic number 4, Kevin Spacey found not guilty. Topic number 5, Facebook is now facing the same heat that Twitter is. Censorship revealed in congressional hearings. Yeah, Twitter went through it. Now Facebook is having, because I will get into the whole story. And topic number 6, and this one's a bit positive. Woke DEI Chiefs getting fired and laid off as economy downturns. Because we will be covering the Trudeau separation, and we will be covering, and we have to do some dancing on feminist frequency's grave. Yeah, we will also be covering the death of feminist frequency on 323. So let's just get this party started. We've had a lot of fun. We took a little bit longer than we normally do to get started tonight, but topic number one, Twitter rebranded as X. Well, I mean, I do believe, although I'm not a super, those of you who've been listening to my channel for a while know that I'm not a super fan of anybody. I regard everybody as human, and they have their flaws and their strengths and their weaknesses. I do recall Elon Musk saying that he was going to change the name of Twitter, and he did. Is Elon Musk a globalist? Is he just another wing of the same bird? Yeah, maybe not. I mean, he did hire a woke CEO. He did hire a woke globalist CEO to run Twitter. And of course, Twitter has been a little bit disappointing. They're still censoring people, whatever, although they are much freer, and they definitely, they're not knowingly boosting woke content over
I gotta interject. This is not merely a woke CEO. This is a more higher ranking member within the World Economic Forum. That really makes a difference. It honestly does.
Okay. Well, I mean, I think, again, I suspect that she got brought in so that Elon could get some of his commercial sponsors back, because again, ultimately Elon Musk is a businessman, and it's all about the Benjamins for him. The plans. He also did something really remarkable recently. They launched not an assault. They launched a underhand. This may have been coming from the CEO and not from Elon, but one of the first things that happened is very recently. Twitter launched an attack on Rumble. Nick Fuentes, who's a individual who is it Nick Fuentes? I'm not sure. I think it might be Nick Fuentes. Nick Fuentes is a far-right guy. I don't really particularly like his content, although I don't listen to it very much. The reason being is that he's one of those guys. He makes a lot of cogent points, but when it comes to the fucking Jews, he just goes right off the fucking reservation. Oh, how's it going, Vinny?
Hey, welcome back, Vinny.
That's good, man.
And don't forget to name the Jew, Vinny.
When we're finished topic number one, we'll give you a few minutes to describe the events of what happened at your court appearance. I saw the video, by the way. Congratulations. Yeah. Kind of shocked, but I will let you describe it in your own words when we're finished with topic.
I actually took both of his Facebook videos, put them together, and like re-uploaded it to Alt Tech for those who don't want to view it through fascism. That being fascist book. And between the two, I did
Don't you mean Facebook?
Yeah, I did. I between the two, I inserted the little SpongeBob time card 6.5 hours later, just to be funny. Although I did like the coffee joke, and they call me a criminal.
Yeah, Vinny. As soon as we're done topic number one, you can. I will give you a few minutes to describe the events that occurred. So yeah, I suspect. Elon Musk does have a plan for Twitter. I think ultimately Elon Musk is out for Elon Musk.
Did you hear he's even got a new cologne coming out? Musk by Elon.
Musk by Elon. Interesting. I'm going to have to come up with a commercial.
Sponsored by the World Economic Forum.
I'm going to have to boo that one. We've all done that joke. Come on.
I mean, reportedly, CK1 is on the back foot. They don't know what to do about it.
So anyway, Twitter's been rebranded. Kelso brought up something rather interesting a few days ago about the symbol. I think I said that's interesting. Unfortunately, that would be called circumstantial evidence. It's not
Oh
conclusive.
yeah,
It's
yeah.
interesting, but I mean, again, right? You know,
Not saying it's.
I
I'm not
see.
saying it's evidence, but I mean, come on. Of all the ways to make an X, there's a ton of ways to make an X that doesn't turn into a Freemasonry symbol when you invert it. Like, of all the ways to make an X, how coincidental is that, seeing as the ruling class has just as much of a fetish for symbolism as they do for raping children? So just
Yeah.
putting it
So
out.
yeah, it's interesting. It's good. It's
It
evidence,
is the compass and
intriguing,
square.
but it's
Wow.
not conclusive, unfortunately. But it is. Kelso does make a good point about that.
Well, the other point is that there's been a secret war going on inside Freemasonry since 1776, and the Scottish Rite has basically tried to take over Freemasonry. But before that happened, there was actually the use of all of these symbols through the mystery schools for thousands of years to teach initiates about knowledge, about responsibility, and all those good things. And now they've been inverted and corrupted, you know, like how a Satanist will turn a crucifix, which is a good symbol, upside down, and it suddenly becomes a bad symbol. That's what they've done here, is they've basically hijacked all the ancient knowledge for themselves, and they're now using black magic and dark sorcery to bend people's minds to their will. Because if you think that the knowledge of the symbol of knowledge is inherently a satanic, is inherently an evil thing, there's black and white magic. There's all sorts of things that you can do. It doesn't necessarily come down on one side. So what's interesting is whether or not Elon knows this and is trying to use the symbol for its actual good intended purposes, or if he currently is one of these satanic scumbag frickin' Jew-loving frickin' whatever people who is using it to get that message of they out there. So, you know, it could be one or the other. We don't know yet.
Right.
Well, all I can say is I've watched, over the years, I've watched a bunch of different things, rants that Elon himself has gone on, and he is definitely a huge fan of transhumanism, embraces it, says that the World Economic Forum's Great Reset agenda is inevitable, and all sorts of other incriminating things. So I'm not the type I'm not the type of person who's gonna look at a third party. Oh, so and so said this out on, therefore it must be true. I like to look at these people directly and see what they have to say. The words coming out of their
and those are pretty incriminating statements, and it's immediate New World Order shell right there, bro.
Exactly, and then of course, who's the CEO now? One of the upper echelon of the World Economic. But I'm guessing that's merely a coincidence, too, because the coincidence theorists are always right, aren't they? Because nothing happens intentionally. Everything happens by coincidence.
Well, the coincidence theorists actually believe that at some point in the middle of the 20th century, all the most powerful and influential people in the world got together and said, you know, guys, I think we've got enough money and power. You know, we don't need any more. We've been going overboard for far too long. Let's just give the power back to the people. You know, let's be good now without ruthless criminal sociopathic scumbagging. Let's just evolve.
It just got too boring raping children. Let's do something else now.
Okay, so anyway, yeah. So the attack against getting back to the topic, the attack against Rumble was one of the first things that happened when Elon wasn't the CEO. So yeah,
attack on Rumble,
not unexpected. Yeah, the whole thing about that. So we'll have to select order. So I'm going to go on my screen. I'm going to go left to right here. So we'll have V, Kelso, Vinny Eastwood, and then Rearson, and we'll move on. Then
whoa. I'll go last, like usual.
Okay, second to last. Okay, so Kelso, Vinny Eastwood, then V, and then Rearson, and then we're going to give the floor to Vinny Eastwood for a few minutes so he can describe his wonderful court experience. If wonderful would be, if wonderful it was bracketed in the word sarcasm font.
That works for me
next to
because when I go on a rant, I always enjoy what Vinny Eastwood has to say about the rant that I just went on. So that works for me.
Yeah, I mean,
Okay, so
everything,
Kelso, you're up.
everything goes in a circle.
Okay. I mean, I think I pretty much said most of what I need to say about the whole Twitter thing. I don't know much about the Rumble thing, so you'll have to go into a bit of detail on that. I don't know about the whole Rumble.
Okay,
attack.
what they did at Twitter is they took the fact that Nick Fuentes is on Rumble, BitChute, and Odyssey. Nick Fuentes, intelligent guy, probably now in his mid-20s. He was put on the no-fly list at one point, although apparently he is getting around now because he apparently somehow got to London to appear unexpectedly, and that's in quotes, on the same show as Rollo Tomasi, which really did not go over well with Rollo Tomasi, because the actual alt-right and the manosphere do not particularly like each other, and that's a whole other can of worms we don't want to get into tonight.
That's really interesting, because one thing I'm sure we've all noticed is that when a bad person says bad stuff on YouTube, it's the bad person's fault. But when somebody says anything on another platform, it's the entire platform's fault.
Yeah,
Like,
which is
who doesn't
exactly what
know
Twitter.
standards
Which is
or
exactly
anything.
what Twitter did, because Nick Fuentes, and Fuentes is not the only content creator on Rumble. Obviously, they've actually
Like,
started.
if some drunk person came to my house and broke something or whatever, why would people blame me? You know, that's...
Well, it's because
we're
you're Vinny
invited to them.
Eastwood, and everybody blames you for everything. You're the reason I got fired, Vinny.
Vinny, when I wear my Nazi helmet on your show and extend my right arm and I go Zig Heil Zakovid Reich, that is your fault. I bear no personal responsibility for my actions. That's all on you.
Yeah,
That
we're
would be
gonna stop
dangerous.
blaming Steve. We're gonna blame
Okay,
you for
PewDiePie.
everything.
All right, on all our
Yeah.
fails, blame Vinny. It's been tried and true. So,
Don't call me a
speaking
cutie
of,
pie. I don't swing that way.
I can't wait to hear about this, by the way. So let's get through this. I want to hear Vinny.
Yeah.
okay, all right, we're ready.
No, well, we still have to cover that. Steve is.
Let's
Rearson
finish
and
this
V have to
topic.
cover.
I didn't even
cover
got to
Twitter.
start yet. Come on, guys.
All right, Vinny, go ahead.
All right. Well, as you all know, I've been under bail conditions for like 2 years of one kind or another. And we just recently went into court for our appeal. And we had 3 lawyers on our side and 1 police prosecutor. And the judge was reportedly, from the guys who knew, probably one of the best judges we could have potentially gotten. And then an insider, somebody who knows the man who taught him what he knows, taught him law, said that he doesn't like cops. I'm like, well, deck's getting stacked in our favor. And what was interesting is that we'd been charged with all sorts of things, and most of those charges have been peeled away, and we're left with one charge, which is attending an outdoor gathering. Now, in order to break the law by attending an outdoor gathering, you have to stand within 2 meters of somebody. So ostensibly, what they're doing is they're saying that we broke the law and we have to go to prison for 3 months because we stood within 2 meters of another human being. Okay? It's that ridiculous. And the whole courtroom just laughed out loud, and some of them actually cheered, and the judge said, hey, look, this is not a sports match. You're going to calm down in the peanut gallery there. And so we're now on bail for another 6 weeks, potentially, pending the appeal. The judge said he might get it done in 3 weeks, but that's reasonably unlikely. But if anything happens, the lawyers will get an email the day before, hey, the judgment's happening tomorrow, and then we'll have to let everybody know. So, yeah, for the first time in this whole case, I think things are actually looking a little bit better. And I'm very
Shame on
grateful.
you for existing, Vinny. You're such a naughty boy.
Yeah, well, and I'm also very grateful to the bunches of people that came down and sat through the court and stuff like that. I could tell that a bunch of them were catching up on a bit of sleep during the proceedings, which if I had recordings of them, I would play them before I go to bed at night, so I could just, it just you fall right asleep when you're listening to court proceedings in real life, man. It's not like those courtroom dramas or A Few Good Men or anything like that. It's just really dull and dry, the vast majority of it.
Vinny, let me ask you something. So, I mean, in my experience, and through no fault of my own, a lot of the times, I've had to go to court for some heavy, heavy stuff. And I've gotten pretty much everything dropped against me by using this technique, paying a lawyer to push my court date back. I paid a lawyer to push my court date back on some things 2-3 years, to the point that the court said, screw this, we got other things to do. Drop charges, get out of here. I've done this many times. So is this something that, I mean, the more your situation gets pushed back, the more chances of they just want to just give you something quick just to get you out of the courtroom. I think that might be something you might want to employ.
He's gonna cry.
Okay. Well, unfortunately, we've already tried that, and we're in our second year waiting for the proceedings. So, because it was such a highly publicized case, and we were arrested in broad daylight in front of all the media cameras and things of that nature, and the local papers are reporting on it and such, just continuing to push it back. I'm not sure that tactic will work here, because the whole system's on the line about whether or not New Zealanders have any rights. You know, the right to stand within 2 meters of somebody else, the right to have freedom of expression, peacefully assemble, that kind of thing.
Right, I forgot. That's a tiny little island. New Zealand. Oh boy. Well, I wish you best of luck with this, but I think you'll make out better for the situation in the long run, anyhow. So,
oh yeah, well that's what's on the cards, mate. Like, apparently things are really bad right now, but they're going to get better. That's what all the signs really point to. And I think. Sorry, guys, I got a baby crying. I'll have to just mute out for a moment here.
Sounds like Law and Order meets Benny Hill.
All right, it's time for V and Rearson to get back to the topic. So V, you're up.
Yes, thank you. All right. Well, this rebranding, and okay, I come from a school of teachings. Literally, my family literally came from. There's a sect of Black Freemasons. Okay, I don't know if there's not a lot of people that know about that. They have their own lodges and things like that. My family comes from that. Now, I don't tell everybody that, but it's I come from a line of teachings that even separates from that, and it's so removed. And when I do a lot of things, and I talk to a lot of people, because I'm a bit of a businessman myself, I get I get those moments, those cues, the dog ear, the whistle, the comments, the things I'm supposed to know that I'm supposed to respond to let these people know that, yeah, I'm a part of what they're doing. And, I don't respond, and I definitely act ignorant. and just so I can continue to do my own thing. People would ask me, uh, you know a lot of stuff about this, you know a lot about that, you know about a lot about the mystery school. You're Freemason. What's the secret to Freemasonry? And what I tell people today is the secret to Freemasonry today, and the corrupted version that's ruling the world, the secret to Freemasonry today is that there are no Freemasons created. And let me qualify that statement. For example, I can do whatever the hell I want to do. I can make the business deals that I want to make. I can get into this, I can get into that. It's my decision. Okay? I have the knowledge behind everything that I want to do. I know the knowledge of the system and the people in it. And however, you got someone who claims to be a Freemason and they get into those lodges, they're not free, because at every level, what do? You have to swear an oath of loyalty and secrecy as you level up, as you rank up. So you're not free. You can create what you want to create, but you can create what you're told to create. That's today's Freemasons. They're not really Freemasons. I don't like using that terminology to describe anybody, because they're not real Freemasons.
Slave Masons.
Okay, yeah, sure. So you have to show your intent. Whether it's through a logo for your company, whether you paid ties to an organization, whether you have to, show up at a benefit to show your face. There are certain things you have to do to as you're wrangled in by these elitists. And looking at Elon Musk, I know he's got Asperger's. They say he's got Asperger's. I'm on the spectrum too, damn it. But you can tell this guy, he has an ego that can be stroked. And I'm sure at some point down the road he's been co-opted. And so everything is about confusing us. Everything is about, it doesn't matter what political stance you take, as long as you have the symbolism, it lets everybody know who's actually playing the game know where you are, where you stand. You can, for example, you can go and rally for freedom of rights for everybody, but if you're wearing a KKK ghost outfit, it doesn't really mean anything. So, Elon can talk about, pedophiles this and making the platform better, but then he puts a literal compass and square for his new logo. It's just, it's divisiveness for the wrong cause, okay? You have all these people who swear they're doing the right thing, but yet they wear the mark of the beast. That's just to confuse society. That's, saying, attacking Rumble, for example, because they had someone on the platform. It's the same train of thought. Okay? You're going one direction while claiming another. And that's what the infighting, I would say most of this infighting is not real. Sort of like a wrestling show, kind of like politics, it's not
Exactly.
real.
Exactly.
So, and people don't understand. You just gotta look at the symbolism if you want to know what people are about. you don't be so worried about the context. Look at the symbolism and then look at the people. For example, CRT, critical race theory. People were just so confused about the concept of that. A lot of people don't know what it is. Some people claim it's, I can tell you, oh, people think, oh, well, so white people can admit that they're bad and they need to make amends and give other people a chance. No, that's not what critical race theory is about. Critical race theory is about letting other races know that, yes, white people are evil and there's nothing you can do about it. So get in line. This is our nature. There's nothing you can do about it. That's what critical race theory is about. But you have all these people that are confused with the symbolism, and people have taken up arms against, stuff that they don't really understand. And, people can call Elon a hero and man of the people, but his ego's been stroked and he's been co-opted and absorbed by the very evils that he claims to be against. You're going to the circus and there's a ringleader, okay? And Elon is not the ringleader. Elon is a tiger jumping through a hoop. If people just don't understand the stuff, people don't get any of this stuff, and it's terrifying being in a world where these people just don't get it. So it's a great subject. I probably went on a little too long, but yeah, that's my 2 cents on it. So,
okay.
Go ahead,
All right.
Rich.
Yeah, I will point out that Elon Musk also got suckered in by Amber Heard, at least for a while.
Oh yeah.
The myth.
Socially, he is.
Yeah,
inept.
he did.
He doesn't know what's going on, just because he has all his money and he has some business smarts. He's still socially inept and wants to fit in. Doesn't know how to, and that's
that happens a
weak
lot.
point.
That happens a lot with these uber rich guys.
Yeah.
Bill Gates was just even a really decent programmer. Looking at even when he was a younger guy, as opposed to like an absolutely ruthless, vicious, self-absorbed, narcissistic, potentially even pedophile. But if he wasn't a billionaire, most women wouldn't even give him a second glance.
No, he'd be that dork at Whole Foods, getting through the line, and being laughed at by everybody around him. Yeah.
Yep. So anyway, Rearson,
Even with
who has
billions, Bill Gates is one of the most hated people in the world now. Irony.
So Rearson, who has been absolutely dominating the conversation here, will now get his say, and then we can move on to topic number 2.
Yeah, geez, shut up, Erson. You've just been talking this whole time. Let somebody else get.
Fuck. And to think I've got other things I could do with my time than be here. No, that's fine. That's fine.
Sunday.
It's being more the contrarian, I suppose, of the panel tonight. I've heard through alternate channels, other people, truthers, whatever you want to call it, that the symbolism is what you will make of it. Now, this is, and I've seen, I don't remember which channel I saw this on Telegram, but it's the same thing that, Kelso, you posted in your PSEC group of the X and it's flipped. And yeah,
I've got it in the chat on the side here.
And of course, the fucking fire trucks are going. Anyway,
Well, Steve, think of it like gang signs, like Chicago gangs or whatever, and gangbangers wearing colors and flipping signs. It's just the globalist version of that. Does that mean that the gangs own those colors and own those signs? No, but the gangs do use that to identify with each other, and it's just the ultra wealthy version of gang signing is literally all it is. So you can't say gang signs don't exist. Of course they do. You got the Latin Kings and the Gangster Disciples, only the Bloods and the Crips, and they throw their signs. It's the same thing. It's just the rich man's gang signing is all it is.
Dude, to interject with you there, I mean, when I was in college, I took graphic design and stuff like that. The first class I had to take before doing anything else was logo design. And the hundreds of thousands of logos that I've seen of successful companies, I can tell you 95% of them have some symbolatry that, a sun worship or the triangle,
Okay.
or, it's all there.
All right, yeah. Well, let's have Rurston finish, please. Thanks. Rurston?
Go ahead, Rurston.
Yeah, I'm here. So, at the end of the day, a number or a symbol will mean something to the person that's making it, which will be likely to be completely innocuous or flies over the head of most people. Under normal circumstances, that would probably be the case. Given everything that's happening at this point right now, and again, it was on The Simpsons, and it was actually said, and then there's the symbolism of Matt Groening covering up his eye to indicate that he's part of the Illuminati Club. But these little critters, I don't remember what it is, but they were saying, Freemasons rule the world, Freemasons rule the world. So if you get enough people to wake up to, what the fuck is all this about? And then they start to do some research. They might go down a bit into the rabbit hole. I don't know, that's up to them. And then they'll see the symbol of the square and the triangle, or sorry, the square and the compass. Yeah, it could be. It could very well be. But I'm more of the opinion that at this point, yes, given the things that Musk has said in the past, and there's a picture, I'll have to, if I'm motivated to look for it and I can find it somewhere. He was attending some football match somewhere, and I can't remember who he was with. And it looked like that there was a line there was a line going slightly up his neck, and that could indicate, or could be, that he's perhaps wearing a silicone mask. I'm going to use that to emphasize the point. I haven't taken the time to look at his ear print, shall we say, because that was something that was used when, quote, Epstein killed himself, is that the ears didn't match to the body, with the body that was being hauled out. So I'm not of the opinion of allowing myself to be all doom and gloom at this point in time, although I do have my negative moments. I'm trying to stay away from all of that. Nor am I going to be pushing my hopium on anybody here included. I don't know what to make of all of this, I'll be honest with you, and I'm not going to even try to come up with an opinion, because I could be completely wrong. I have no idea. Maybe in 2 years, maybe in 6 months.
You can make a complete jackal out of yourself.
If I may say just one sentence.
Yeah.
If I may just say one sentence. If a known gangster disciple is wearing gangster disciple colors and flashing gangster disciple gang signs, chances are it's probably a gangster disciple. I mean, I'm just saying, the likelihood, the probabilities are good.
Yeah. And I get you. Smells like a duck, walks like a duck, sounds like a duck. It's probably a fucking duck. Daffy or Donald or whatever.
Or trans. Or trans.
You never know. Fuck, you never know anymore. Surgery, plastic surgery. Plastic surgery.
Well, hey, I got.
That actually reminds me of a joke. it was back in the 1920s, when a dollar was worth quite a lot, Kid goes into town for his 16th birthday to go find a prostitute, but he's only got $2. And he goes in, and unfortunately for his dad, he had to buy a duck. So he went into town on his birthday just to buy a duck. And then he happens across a prostitute, and he wonders, it might try his luck. And you say, do you want to offer me your services in exchange for this duck? And to his surprise, the prostitute agrees. And so he has sex with her. And then afterwards, apparently he was so good that she gave him back the duck and rode him a second time. And on his way home, the duck got run over by a truck. And the truck driver comes out, and he's very distraught, and he goes, "Oh goodness, it's me. I'm sorry, I killed your duck. And how about $2 there?" And he goes, "Oh, all right, yeah." So he takes the $2 from the truck driver, and then he goes on home. Goes up to his dad. Dad said, "What happened tonight?" And he goes, "Oh, Dad, you wouldn't believe it. I got a fuck for a duck for a fuck, and $2 for a fucked up duck."
Okay, yeah, that must be New Zealand humor.
Well, I can only say in parallel, what's the difference between a rooster and a prostitute? A rooster says cock-a-doodle-doo, and a prostitute says any cock'll do.
All right, okay, Rooster, are you done, or can we move on here? Sorry, I got to keep this moving here.
I like to move it. Let's go.
We got a jackal on.
Oh, hey. Topic number 1, Angel. Twitter rebranded as X. Have your say.
Sorry, I thought I muted myself. Okay, at the end of the day, I don't know what the fuck's going on. Nobody knows what the fuck's going on. So, if do what you're going to do, say what you're going to say. I've got my opinions and my beliefs on this one, and at this point in time right now, I'm keeping it to myself. I believe that there's a lot more going on. Do I still believe in the plan? Yeah, because you know what? Otherwise, it's fucking hopeless, and I just don't feel like killing myself off. So, I'll leave it at that.
Okay, Angel, take this topic out. Twitter rebranded as X.
I believe in God's plan, not Trump's plan.
Angel?
Oh no.
Angel.
He's muted.
Angel?
Oh,
no.
I was automatically muted by somebody. There we go. Can you hear me now?
Oh, I can hear you
Angel,
fine now. Thanks.
Go ahead.
Okay. Well, out of all that I heard, all I can say is a duck, and it's delicious with barbecue. And as far as Twitter rebranding itself, I'm not shocked by that move. Actually, Elon spoke about it several weeks ago. He has SpaceX, so X Twitter, Twitter X, with the X logo. I mean, whatever. It's his company. He can do whatever he wants with it. It doesn't bother me at all. So it's become a lot better than it used to be. So I'll give him that. Other than that, that's being a call to everybody. Thank you for having the call open for me to join. I just saw it there, and I was like, "What's going on?" And then, like, I saw the recording, and I see all you guys talking. So I'm sorry I missed the early introduction. I don't know what your topics are, but hey, if I could stick around, I'll try to chime in with my best. But as far as Twitter X, I just don't care. I enjoy going on there. Like I enjoy Truth Social, and a lot of these other social medias are what they are. I just use them for what I need them for, which is to promote my shows and to have a little fun. I don't take them seriously, and I think if anybody out there does, you're wasting your life away. Done.
All right. Let's move on to topic number. Let's move on to Hold on.
There you go.
Move on to topic number 2 here. Student debt relief struck down by U.S. Supreme Court.
I'm gonna
Yes,
mute
sir.
myself so anybody can go
I mean, I had to deal with student debt when I was in my 20s. In fact, I actually had to deal with student debt when I first moved to where I was moving because of my experience with Vancouver Film School. Fortunately, that situation ended probably almost a decade ago now. But you know, it was kind of difficult to deal with. And I keep in mind, you know, I only took out a loan for a year, and I don't regret going to Vancouver Film School, just like how a lot of students, if they're in the STEM field, don't regret, and they don't come from like really well-off families, don't regret taking loans out to pay for careers that are actually going to quote unquote contribute to society. It's the people who take out four-year student loans to learn topics in gender studies like third world feminist drum beating and how to be a perpetual victim. And at actual, in some universities, actual degrees in social activism, things like that, and they get these huge crippling debts. And like a lot of the social sciences, I mean, yeah, there are jobs that pay, but I mean, even some of the hard sciences like paleontology, right? Like, I mean, getting onto a paleontological, which by the way was going to be my second choice had I not gotten into Vancouver Film School, was I was going to try to get the upgrades necessary to go take paleontology at the University of Calgary. That's not a field that's rife with money either. You know, so even some of the hard sciences don't pay out particularly well. We even did a way back when Bruce and I did one of the topics we discussed was about the possibility that they might be able to bring back the mastodon through cloning technology. And what this guy was
a question, if I may. In woke paleontology, do they learn about the Licholotopus?
I will have to find out. That is going to be a deep delve, actually, probably necessitating 12.
That's something that the soy boys are going to fail in because there's no push for them to ever get. I believe that.
I need more info on this creature. I want to know more.
Oh, it was a woke dinosaur that only existed for about a year or two because it got it ate too much soy and it turned into a feminized dinosaur. And the T-Rex is just.
Is this the one they found next to General T-Rex Millie?
If a dinosaur was a trans man, just imagine it that way.
Yeah.
Oh,
so,
okay, cool. Makes sense.
So anyway, yeah.
Manosaurus.
In particular, this individual whose name I can't remember. Well, he was on the Joe Rogan podcast. He went around here and he did his damnedest to extract mastodon DNA from the mastodons that are part of that big, huge, massive dive. They're still finding mastodon bones and so forth in those frozen ice fields up in Siberia.
You know, Naruki, it's going to be probably a few months before they start using that word and saying it's racist.
Wouldn't surprise me.
Mastodon, you know, they're going to find something racist about, hey, master, we done. Like, there's going to be something racist about that. I'm just telling you, the left is going to use that to defund all science.
There's only one problem with that.
We done.
The left has already used it in a different way. There's a decentralized social network literally called Mastodon, and even though the architecture of the platform and the code and all that's good, I like that, the overall social network has been overrun with people with pink hair that think anyone who disagrees with them is a Nazi.
Oh, and not to mention the massive child lover segments that actually infest that particular platform as well.
Yeah,
We covered that as a
yep.
topic here on the Red Pill Nation at one point. But anyway, yeah. So that guy, even though he made a fair amount of money from his documentary. I mean, he still has to work part-time as a bartender, right? So yeah, a lot of the soft sciences, even some of the hard sciences, don't necessarily pay all that well. So, and this, putting on my tinfoil conspiracy hat here. Well, paid for quite handsomely, by the way, by Tinfoil Hats R Us. The debt cycle that I think is being perpetuated in universities is designed to more or less keep everybody basically on the plantation. That's how it appears to be to me. A lot of these students are taking, well, worthless degrees and think that the number of stupid smart people, even from, say, quote unquote Ivy League universities that I have run into in the past few years, tells me that these universities are just churning out people with these degrees just for the sake of churning them out, which basically lessens the value of a degree in the first place. So
that explains
anyway,
that explains AOC, by the way.
Yeah, it does. It totally does. So there's billions and billions of dollars in there, and of course, right, it's all debt driven. So they're making money. They're also making money on the interest and so on and so forth. And these students are caught up in this cycle, and I sympathize with the students. Oh, Vinny's gone. Nice to have you on the show, though, Vinny. I sympathize with these students at the same time, though. Right. You took a degree that requires you to go out and hustle and work and find a way to make that degree pay for you, right? That requires hard work. It requires drive. It requires capitalism. And you're not, and I've said this even to students at Vancouver Film School, right? When I was there, like MGM and Paramount and Warner Brothers are not sitting at the end of each graduation cycle at VFS, waiting to sign us up, right? Like we have to go out and work for it. That's the same thing with these people, and they're, of course, because they're sucked into Democrats. They're expecting that Joe Biden, who was bought and paid for, is going to somehow let them off the hook, and it didn't. So they tried taking it to court, and it got to the Supreme Court. And to no one's surprise, hold on a second. The law got struck down, so students have to pay their own debts. Boo-hoo, piddly-hoo. I mean, I get it, right? It kind of ties you into the system. And it's like if some of these students were willing to pull their heads out of their asses, they could probably figure a way out, but they just expect someone else to do it for them. And I have no sympathy for them that way. So yeah, I'm a fixed opinion on this. So Kelso, you can go next. Or maybe you can't.
All right, yeah, I just had to unmute. Anyway,
Typical story.
As far as college in general, I'm not saying all college all the time everywhere, but college in general is such a scam that there was a documentary made about it called College Conspiracy that I just put in the chat there. And it's like you said, it's to kind of keep people on the plantation most of the time. Yes, if you're going to college to be a brain surgeon or something, fine. But a lot of these different things people go to college for end them up in debt slavery. And well, typically, like as far as the normal situation with that, I kind of feel sorry for these college kids who fall into that scam. like you said, the wokesters and these woke degrees, I don't feel sorry for them. So that's all I got to say about that.
Angel.
Well, I missed a little bit of that. My headset was giving me issues. Can you hear me okay, guys?
Oh, I can hear you just fine. Yep.
Okay. What was the topic again? Like I said, I was
The
having a
U.S.
little.
Supreme Court votes down the college student debt rate.
Yes. Well, like you said, suck it up. You got to pay your own bills. I didn't think this was going to get very far, even though the left has been, having this as one of their agendas of stuff they're going to get done. But everything they try to do has either been negative for the country or has been struck down, or they've had to executive order things by the president because right now the House is mostly Republican. So I wasn't shocked that it was shot down. It is a ridiculous thing to pay debt for somebody else's mistakes of a course in college. If if you're going to go to college, make sure you're picking a field that you're both comfortable with and you can make a living in. It's not just, hey, I want to be a painter, so I'm going to go to college for 4 years to learn how to paint. You might not have a whole lot of income, so you have to be also very careful what you do. Trade schools are great. Universities are very expensive. So the thought of debt being wiped off, that only comes with the taxpayer money. And why should the taxpayer bear the burden of having to pay because you made a mistake and you went to the wrong college, or you studied the wrong course and you now have all this debt that working at McDonald's or Burger King is not help you with? So to each their own, man. If you want to go to college and pick a major which is not going to have a major payout at the end of your 4 years with a high paying job, that's on you, and it should always be on you. You have to stop babying everybody, both in this country and outside. So I'll leave it at that.
All right, V.
Yeah, well, as we all know, college is a scam for the most part. I took women's studies, and I can't get a job because I'm a woman.
Shut up and drop to your knees. Fuck, that's the way we're gonna get a job.
If you're a woman, that now means you're a man and you're in women's sports.
Bam!
Well, okay, so
that would be what I saw in the Olympic Games, V. Damn.
well, no, as I mentioned earlier, so I had a very short college career, and it's because I slowly figured out that I was being scammed. I wanted to make video games. I wanted to get on Steam and make my video games, put them on Steam, sell them, be an independent developer, do that sort of thing. The college that I went to had me lined up for so many classes that was not even relevant to my field. No, it's mandatory. You have to take these classes before you can take the real classes that you want. Mandatory. And, logo design, as I mentioned earlier, I was so frustrated. I'm telling you. Just making video games, you're going to be on a PC. You're going to be using some pretty easy programs. I'm sitting in this goddamn classroom on a Mac with the most horrible design interface that you can possibly imagine, creating logos. This has nothing to do with what I want to do. So I got the hell out of there. You know what? Screw this. Screw you guys. I'm not going to be taking any more classes. You can cancel the other stuff. I know it's too late to cancel this, but oh well. If you can find me, make me pay, go ahead.
You know, every time I
and they
hear
found me and made me
mandatory, I
pay.
say no.
But,
Every time I hear the word mandatory, I'm like suspicious at that point.
well, I mean, yeah. Well,
What I mean,
it did
you know, all
ring
this
true to
mandatory
me.
classes. If I want to learn how, like, you know, to do this one specific thing, that's why trade schools are great.
Well, exactly. That's why, and you should be able to start them early. You know, high school's a joke. You should be able to start trade school after the 8th grade. But anyways, before I get too derailed here, so yeah, they found me and made me freaking pay, taking money out of my paychecks. You know, which is criminal. The only institutions in America, I think, that can take, not even the hospitals can take money out of your check for hospital bills. No, the colleges can, because their loans are secured through banks, which owns everybody. Not even the government can make you do it, but the banks can, even if your banks are unrelated. So it was a real, you know, frisk down, pocket, take all your money out your pocket job. As far as the debt, other people's debts being paid, you know, I think there should be a line drawn for people like me, and then those people who actually do the full time and then get their degrees, they should most definitely have to pay their own. But for people who get screwed over, like me, there should be some sort of forgiveness, because I realized too late that I'm being scammed.
Well, here's another thing that used to happen, and it was happening for a while because the government was paying for these institutions. It didn't matter who your mom and dad were. After you graduated from university, you had to do 2 to 4 years of service to the government to help pay back your debt. Right? Then you could move on with the rest of your career. That's something I think would be a great idea to bring back.
Well, job placement, that's what they called it. Sometimes you could do it if your field was in demand. If your field's not in demand, then there's no job placement for you. So I'm split down the middle. Like I said, there's some people who learn real quick and have tried to escape the jaws of the beast, and then there are those who got completely swallowed. So that's just the way it is. And as far as society and paying other people's debts, you know, when the debt is too much, there's supposed to be debt forgiveness. It's in our Constitution. When debt becomes too much of a strain on the economy, there is supposed to be debt forgiveness. However, it doesn't say that the people are supposed to pay it. That completely defeats the purpose of it.
Yeah,
But
debt,
remember,
debt
in
cancellation.
America, they take it out of the taxes of those who are paying taxes. So there
Right.
really is no debt relief. We, the
Right.
taxpayers, are paying for these people's debt. This is why it didn't pass, because the American people are not stupid. You know, yeah, you're giving these people a break, but we're all still paying for, it in our taxes, including the people you're giving a break to. So what break are you really giving? Now taxes are going to go up, inflation's going to go
That's
up.
not debt.
I put it
That's
to
not debt
people.
forgiveness. That's just somebody else pays for it. Forgiveness is when it's
Correct.
canceled completely. Nobody pays it.
Canceled completely. Now, I give people the example. You know, when people say they don't know how to feel about this, what to feel about this, or they feel strongly in one way and another, I give people this example. So when people bring up reparations, oh, it's a hard no. But when a black man gets beaten down by the police and gets millions of dollars, guess what? Guess who paid that? You just gave up reparations. So how about you stop ignoring the issue, saying a hard no, you don't want to pay out your pocket, but you're paying out your pocket anyways because you don't want to fight for somebody's right to be equal.
But when is reparations enough? Because black people are not the only ones that they enslaved. So, I mean, look, I come from a background where my great grandfather was Chinese and he was a slave in America before he ended up in Cuba. And he was used with his younger brother in California to build the railroads until they escaped. They were kidnapped from China when they were, I think it was 14 and 15. They were about a year or something apart. And they managed to escape and ended up in the island in Cuba, and that's my mom's side of the family. But that's, my history going back. So should the Chinese get reparations? They were slaves also. Let's go back even further. The Jews get reparations. They were slaves. White people were slaves for a long time.
The Irish
use it as an example, not to completely derail the whole thing. I use that as a side example for when.
No, I understand. I'm just now. I'm bringing it to a more general term. I understand what you're doing, but I'm saying now in more general, like when will the madness end? Because you could say, first of all, we don't have enough land to give every black person 40 acres, and then mules. We have plenty of us. We have a lot of them in Congress now, and there's still a lot of jackasses. So you can have the mules, but a lot of them have become jackasses, and they're in Congress. So anyway, if we're going to give everybody 40 acres, that's more than the country. So at some point, it's just a tale and a fable, and it never happens. So again, but at what point do we say, okay, it's just stupid even talk about this 200 or 300 years after the fact? It's just, we're here now. Let's just all forget about what our forefathers promised and failed to deliver, and let's all just enjoy what we can and try to all mix in and move forward. But this is what the left doesn't want us to do, so they keep using all this divisive language, and they keep bringing race, and that is the most devastating part of what we're facing in America, and it's spreading worldwide. So.
Well, if you just surgically remove AOC's vocal cords, a black guy can still make her suck his dick. I'm just saying.
Oh, this is very true.
Want to give a black guy a donkey?
Yes.
Want to give a black guy a donkey? Just surgically remove AOC's vocal cords. She's still perfectly available for dick sucking.
What I love
about all these chicks is like they're so woke and they hate white people so much, but yet they're like marrying and all dating white guys. You guys notice that, right?
Okay, totally derailed. So let's hand it on over.
Let's get back to the actual topic here. Rearson, take this topic out.
All right. I also had gone to college. I got halfway through my second semester. I had passed 3 courses out of 5, I believe. And I got halfway through my second semester and I realized, I don't know if I can do this. I went to get away from my father. That's how bad it was. My mother knew my motivation. And I haven't gone back. I can't quite say that I'm in the same mindset that V is and that it's a trap. It's a trap! But I didn't know what I wanted to go into. So, unlike these idiots that have racked up so much debt, when I do go back to school, if I do go back, I need to make sure it's going to be something that I will want to be able to do for what's left of my corporate lifespan, shall we say, because I've got about 20 years for retirement sort of shit. Excuse me. So I need to make the best of it. That's assuming that I'm even going to be hireable, which is another topic of discussion for a later point in time. Now, the student loan program that was in Ontario at the time, and I don't know if this is the same as it was in BC, I think it was the same thing. The government guaranteed the money to the bank gave you the cash. That eventually stopped because after 2 years, when you finished school, whether you completed your course or your program or not, you had to pay it back. But after about 2 years, you could file for bankruptcy. So there were kids that were taking their kid and their not their social credit score, on their credit score, the credit rating, couldn't get a house for 7 years or whatever. Kind of, well, that's fine. Short-term pain for the longer-term gain, which is that I'm out of debt, or I have to pay this. I have to pay some of it back. And the banks eventually basically just said, we're not doing this shit anymore. So, no. So now I've looked into it, and it's the government will give you the money, so you're going to pay the government back. Now, I don't know about the rest of the country that I'm in, Canada, at least for now, but in Alberta, the student loan, you pay it back, and it's interest-free. So if we have runaway inflation, and if let's just say that I've got $50,000 worth of debt. Let's say that inflation hits and it's going to be on the scale of fucking Zimbabwe. I don't know, whatever. Weimar, Germany. There we go. And I can somehow pay it all off at once. Great. Even though the currency value is worthless, it could be done. So now I filed for bankruptcy, but it wasn't related to that. I did pay my student debt off. Do I regret it? Yeah. I'm sitting on the fence on it now, and we're talking fucking 30 years later. It was good for me in the sense that I learned what I didn't want to do, and I needed to understand also what my real motivations would be to go to school. Was it worth, what the fuck was it, about $7,000 or $8,000 at the time? Yeah. But it's done. I've got it paid off. It was a great learning lesson. I got something out of it that I couldn't get from school directly. Now, for these idiots that go for female basket weaving that are considering transgender studies to go along to throw it into the whole fucking mix, you know what? Fucking knock yourself out. Are you going to be employable? Probably not. Am I going to give a shit? Fuck no, because you're an idiot thinking that. It's like, oh, I can get a job doing this, 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 and this. Just listen to more Aaron Cleary. But anyway. But if you're going to go to school and get a useless degree, well, fine. Kelso, how many times have you said it? Play stupid games, win stupid prizes. And this is one of those prizes that's not a lot of fun, but going to school for a fucking art major, Renaissance art major. Great. No problem. How many people you can keep competing against? And what the fuck are you actually going to do with that? I mean, you could walk out with the critical thinking skills of interpreting art, but art is nothing but an opinion. That's a visual expression. And we all could look at the same thing. We could all have disagreements, but present company included, there's no way in hell that we're going to be fine. They're going to be buying any fucking modern art because it's pretty fucked up. It's messed. It's a whole lot of mess. And I'm not going to go into details about some of the materials that some women have used for their stuff, which is fucking horrid, but whatever. So if you're going to do it,
I got a friend who's a pretty decent painter, though. I mean, she's not woke, and she actually paints nice-looking stuff, but, you know.
Very nice.
Well, I mean, that's fine. But, I mean, I've heard of one feminist where she was using her menstrual blood as an ingredient for her paintings.
That's brilliant.
Oh, it makes
brave.
Well, yeah, brave to be that fucking stupid. Stunned stupid, but, you know, whatever. So, at the end of the day, if you're going to do it, do it. If your plans don't work out because your ideas were half-baked at best, and I'm not talking being on cannabis, just you have no fucking grip on reality and what life is like and economics, and you got to borrow the money. Great, you got to pay it back. You know, don't fucking complain to me. So if you're going to be making
Wait, hold on.
Yeah.
Aren't artists considered to be minstrels?
Shut up, V. When and minstrels, sure.
That explains why a lot of us bleed in our BMs as we get older.
Oh, you had to take it to a dark place, didn't you?
Well, I'm just saying, as you get older, there's a little blood that comes out in your BM. It happens to the best of us, It can't just be you, V. I'm just saying, we shared a moment earlier.
Hey, now.
Okay.
I was going to say, I don't have that problem, but okay. Go ahead, Rudy.
My friend.
Vinny, welcome back, Vinny. Welcome back. Well, we're gonna just enough. This one, okay. Vinny, we're talking about. I'm just about done with this one. So at the end of the day, if you're gonna make a stupid decision, fucking own up to it, and you have to figure out how you're gonna get yourself out of it. Cannot, do not, will not do it. Fine, go right ahead. Don't be fucking bitching at me because could be potentially doing better, or at the very least, I'm going to be happier with my choice that I made at the end of the day than you will be. Naruki, do you want to Vinny in on the topic?
All right. Well, I don't know. This is the United States, Vinny. The Supreme Court ruled against student debt relief for the students with crippling debt in the United States. That's not really a New Zealand issue, but I'm having to imagine you've got a fair amount of people in New Zealand also having to deal with some rather large debts for taking degrees that are pretty much useless.
Come on, Vinny.
Vinny, we're waiting. No pressure.
East, what? Yeah, always up to no good. And I think he might be muted, and he doesn't.
Well, he's not muted on. He
might be having some.
No, his Skype is muted. I can see it from here.
I didn't mute him.
No, I muted myself. It's just you guys couldn't hear me because you're talking over.
Vinny,
anyway,
I am psychic, by the way. My last name is Espino, ESP. I know. Continue.
All right, Vinny, take it away.
I'm busy, guys. I actually am trying to bath the baby at the moment. I'll be with you just in a moment, please.
Did he say masturbate?
All right, well, let's move on to the next topic here.
Yeah.
No, that's Vinny with a Y, because that's the most important question. And Eastwood, go ahead, make my news.
All right, let's move on to the next topic here. This one is absolutely, this one just leaves me, well, yeah, I mean, surprised, not surprised. 13 nations, including the United States, by the way, got together back in May. I only found out about it, though, just a few days ago. 13 nations got together to abolish farming. Now, when I read the article that the one that's most easily readable, it kind of sums it up best. The countries that signed on to this were U.S., Argentina, Australia, Brazil, Burkina Faso, Chile, Czech Republic, Ecuador, Germany, Panama, Peru, and Spain. The big issue here is their claim, especially ranching, absolutely no connection at all to you will eat the bugs, is creating a lot of methane, which is making the planet warmer. And, just to follow the case with the Babylon Bee, we've just got another 12 years before the globalists have to send out another warning to tell us that we've got another 12 years before the Earth will be in serious danger again. What this article boils down to, a lot of it is this was done at the Global Methane Hub. again, the issue seems to be more around ranching. Again, like this is a big issue with leftists and globalists. In fact, there was a rather well-known vegan who was obviously not particularly censored and didn't breathe and didn't ever wash, who recently died of literally of starvation in Australia from her diet. And it says, yeah, food systems are responsible for 60% of methane emissions. Again, we're not emitting enough methane to actually cause global warming. This is just a cash cow to bring in those global energy credits and so on and so forth, right? Former guy who ran for president, I believe it was against George W. Bush in 2004, John Kerry, was also very excited about taking valuable, productive farmland offline. Okay, well, first, the other part about this that really kind of boggles my mind, and this is me stepping back into the big picture here, because I've also been hearing rumors floating around that at some point in the mid to late 20s, the U.S. is specifically trying, because a lot of the internal pressures that are taking place in the United States are going to get to the point where they're going to be unbearable. The rumor has it they're going to try and start a war with either Russia, China, or both. They need getting into that. So they're going to start a war. They're going to start a war with those two powers. They're going to try to massively restructure where people live and how people live. And now they're going to have to use their armed forces now, because if they want to eliminate farming, they have to take a huge number of people from the countryside. By the way, people in the countryside, even in Canada, they've got these things called guns. Right? And if they try to do that by force, it is probably not going to go well for them. So they're going to have to use an excessive amount of military force just to keep their own citizens in line and potentially start a war with either Russia, China, or both at the same time, and massively restructure the economy all at the same time. This is just absolutely insane, not to mention the fact that, to my knowledge, something like 50 to 55% of the people employed in the world are farmers. What are they going to think? I mean, this looks like, and I mean, I actually went and engaged in a thought experiment just before I went out on this job that I came back from, and I looked at it from the other way. Well, if it's not a conspiracy, if all of this is just happening coincidentally, then what you have are a bunch of people happily, gleefully, and willingly and stupidly running the train off a cliff and not caring. I mean, that is the option. If it's not a conspiracy, then there's a lot of very stupid people making a lot of stupid decisions and a bunch of lemmings happily and willingly tossing themselves off the cliff is the other option here. This does not make any sense. I've also seen, and this ties in with another plan that it seems to be mostly floating around in Australia. I don't know if it's floating around in New Zealand. Maybe when we get to when he talks about, maybe he knows a little bit more about this, about returning huge sections of the land back to the natives. It's also been discussed in the United States, but then in Canada,
that actually. So sorry to cut in here, but I've got a few minutes. Yeah, it did happen in New Zealand. We had a guy named Julian Batchelor who had a several $1 million property who got a letter saying your land now belongs to the local iwi, well, that's Māori tribe, right? And you have to still pay the rates on the property, but you can't make any modifications without the iwi say so. All right. And it wasn't just him. Reportedly, hundreds of other farmers in large sections of land have just gotten letters like this, and suddenly they don't own their properties anymore. they're seizing the land. So yeah, if it's happening anywhere, it's happening everywhere, isn't it?
Yep. So yeah, it hasn't happened here yet because trust me, we live in the other pillar that holds up the Alberta economy is agriculture. If something like this had been tried at least in Alberta, we would have both Rusin and I would have heard about it. The only issue that again, right? First of all, how are you going to feed the people? The only way this works is if they kill. Oh, and by the way, if you're going to try and kill off the majority of the population by starving to death, where are you going to get your bodies to fight the Russians and the Chinese? So I mean, this whole plan, this thing, it was done in April, and I only found out about it like last week. I mean, it's. I just don't think, even with BlackRock and all of the global cabals and this trillions of dollars that's apparently held in the city of London and sort of thing, I don't think they have the human resources to accomplish everything they're going to do. And I mean, being Native myself and having worked at a Native company and talked to a lot of Natives, V probably knows this as well with the Black community. A lot more of the Natives are fully aware of what, and I'm going to have to assume that the Maori down in New Zealand and the Aborigines in Australia, a lot of them as well. I mean, there's a lot more Natives that are aware of the globalist agenda than I think these people in the seats of in Canada would be the Laurentian elite that believe, like, way more than you might expect. They all know about the globe. Like, they know. I mean, at least the Native Americans and the African Americans in North America, they know.
When it comes to the Black community, hang out. I would actually tell any one person, just go hang out in the Black community for one day and just ask about society. Yeah, the idea is you don't need critical race theory. We know there's a scam, there's a plot behind everything, from the wars to the Kool-Aid. We know.
Yeah, I mean, it's like, a lot of the Native Americans know as well. Vinny, I'm going to assume that this is the same thing if you start asking the Aborigines and the Maori down in Oceania. I'm probably betting dollars that they are aware of what's going on.
One of the brought to you by Pfizer.
Let Vinny speak.
Sorry, 1 second, baby. I just need to make this point on radio, please. It's going to take me a few minutes. All right. There's one kind of person and another kind of person in every kind of race that has these tribal backgrounds and colonization, etc., etc. And they have different names for them in each country. In the Australian tradition, they're called coconuts because they're white on the inside and brown on the outside. In New Zealand, they're called the Coup-Papa, C-O-U-P. And other races have their own variants of them, but they're
I've been called an apple, which is the equivalent of, or blacks are called Oreos. It's basically the same thing. Continue, Vince.
Right, and so having been the only person who's a journalist to be invited to the sacred temple of the Four Winds down in Te Kuiti, we had a look at all of this, and I got to talk to the tribal elders on the drive down there. And when they went overseas, all their lands got taken off them, right? This is like in the 1970s. So these things have been happening where all of the families have been intermarried with elite bloodlines, and they've basically taken over all the controlling interests. And now there's a very, very tiny minority of them who say that they speak for all their people when they couldn't care less about them.
Interesting. Kelso.
Yep. I'll kind of put it like this. And I'll try to be as brief as I can. Good luck with that. And so people are going to have to do a bit of their own research on some of the things I'm saying. But okay, there's been these eugenicists, right? And they got this idea that only they deserve to live on the earth. Nobody else does. For a very long time, they've been trying to figure out a way or ways to get rid of everybody else. So, all this stuff with authoritarian police state, eats the bugs, blah, blah, blah. That stuff is not meant to stay in place forever. That's a means to an end because, even a death camp needs security, right? So what does this have to do with farms? Well, basically, as Max Egan likes to say, most people these days are truckitarians. They get their food from the grocery store. Most people don't know what plants are edible, what's not, how to fish, Their only life skills consist of two things, taking standardized tests and living vicariously through their cell phones. So, the whole idea here is that, and I must say, all the different countries, just like what Vinny was saying about a small amount of people acting as if they represent the majority when really they couldn't care less. Well, these types of people rule over all of our countries. So, it's nice to scare the hell out of people with rattling the sabers and the drums and going, oh, war with China, war with Russia, da da da. That's all just fear. In each individual country, what they're doing right now is they're doing their best to get the people themselves to implode things. Now, if for the first time ever in human history, every country in the world could operate in lockstep to lock down the world for all the scandemic nonsense, what else could they possibly be operating in lockstep for? What else could they possibly be capable of, right? So the whole idea is to get each of the countries to implode themselves. And if you've got a population that just only knows to go to the grocery store, and you've also got a population that has gotten really used to just passively allowing government to do what they want and not stick up for themselves, the idea that the ruling class have is if you ban farming, well, these people are just going to starve because they're going to sit there waiting for government to save them and so on and so forth. Now, in places like the United States, because there are, people in the rural areas with farms and, American culture and all that and guns, etc., this is going to be much harder, if not nigh impossible, to pull off. In other countries, I hate to say it, but such as Australia, New Zealand, etc., as far as I could tell, it looks like it's probably going to be pretty easy to pull off there, unfortunately, unless some Australian or Kiwi can tell me, oh no, actually there's a big resistance mounting and all these globalists are about to be kicked out any day now, and show me proof that doesn't look like trust the plan, okay? So yeah, the bottom line, anybody having confusion is, why is all this happening? Are these people stupid? Well, yes, the globalists do intentionally hire morons. People like Jacinda Ardern, Joe Biden, Scott Morrison,
Justin Trudeau,
Danny Hunchback,
Adam Schiff,
et cetera, et cetera. These people are as stupid as they are psychopathic. They could not be capable of being in charge of a broom and a dustpan. They are that stupid and brain dead. So it's not them that's in charge, it's their handlers. They're just the mouthpiece talking into the camera going, we're going to kill you all, but don't worry, it's safe and effective. So yeah, hopefully that everything I just said there clears up a lot of confusion for people, although I can understand why it might actually create more confusion for some, but I'll leave it there.
Thank you very much. Angel.
I think...
okay, Vinny, go ahead.
Well, I think you're right, Kelso. It's just there's a lot of really stupid people in the world, and it's not by accident. They've been deliberately miseducated and indoctrinated into being completely dependent. And if somebody's completely dependent, they lack any curiosity. Isn't that interesting? The less you need to know about what you're getting and how you're surviving, the less you want to know. And yeah, people can just be rolled over really at any minute, especially in Australia and New Zealand, because Brenton Tarrant held a mass shooting here, allegedly, and that took all the New Zealanders' guns. And Martin Bryant had a mass shooting in Australia, allegedly, and took all the Australians' guns. So we don't have that sort of safeguard that those with their Second Amendment do. So yeah, it's looking pretty bleak out there, especially when the only reason why farmers are really growing anything is because all food has nutritional value and some kind of health benefit, really, ostensibly. And the New Zealand government just passed overnight a new bill to say that anything that has a therapeutic claim now has to be regulated. And now people are panic buying all the health supplements and oranges and so on and so forth, because now all new products are being brought in. Instead of saying it's got lemon or garlic, it now says it's got natural lemon, natural garlic. It's all been engineered, and it doesn't have any of the actual nutrients in it. And this brings about what Dr. Rima Labo was talking about when she was exposing Codex Alimentarius many years ago, where billions of people will die from simple malnutrition and preventable diseases that they could easily recover from.
That was 2009, wasn't it?
Mm-hmm.
I'm a linguist.
And a master debater. Now, so, yeah,
True that.
Things are looking bleak. They are down here in the southern hemisphere.
Correct. Angel, go ahead.
It's a conspiracy. It's a conspiracy. But I'm telling you, we should not stand for this. And what we in America, what I think we should do is we should get every American native land. And when I say land, I even have the place mapped out. It's a little-known area in mid-America where they used to test some bombs. So kind of like a joke. In 3 or 4 decades, some of the Indians could be born and actually can use the term brown cow around them, because most of them are being now hybrid Indians and actual cows from all the radiation. But anyway, at least they'll get their land back, because gosh darn it, they deserve it. But in all serious notes, the left wants to take away our guns here too. And I keep saying this on my own podcast. The moment they go for your guns, that's a game over. So they've been going at it here for years. My condolences that y'all lost it up there, Vinny. But you reap what you sow, and I hope the American people understand in these United States of Biden's criminal empire that if they take away if they take away our rights to bear arms, and you leftists that are listening and maybe watching this later or listening in, remember, Angel the Jackal said this: you reap what you sow. If you go for it and you vote for it and you're all about it, because my feelings, some crazy drug addicted teenager shot up a school, so all people that should have legally been legally able to own guns should not ever have a gun. We have to remove guns. If you're that stupid, then when they come for you and throw you in camps, just remember you voted for that shit. So, and if it doesn't get to camps, but it becomes where the U.S. becomes a third world banana republic, remember you voted for that. Remember, berries, y'all voted for that shit. Now, are you guys already aware that we already eat bugs? I don't know if you're aware of this, but we've been eating bugs the whole time. So the joke really is on all of us, because No, yeah. Well, every time you buy candies, for example, they have the color red. There's a certain bug for the color red.
Yeah, it's
And
part of a bug dye. Yeah,
and
part of a dye.
yeah,
Yeah, I know that.
yeah.
Yeah.
It's not what y'all think. It's not just from V's last BM, the red color. It's actually bugs. And this is something that the American people are like, oh, they're going to make me eat the bugs. My good buddy Gary from the Martian Revelation show, shout out to him, is always like, I'll never eat the bugs. And I'm like, dude, you've been eating bugs this whole time. And look, uh, to be fair, if you can eat the ass of a pork or the ribs of an animal, what's a couple chocolate coated roaches? You know, really,
Well, I was just thinking, why are the red M&Ms so crunchy?
That you gotta ask V about that. He would know more.
Yeah. All right.
out
So,
like rabbit
and by the way,
pellets.
the
You notice how everybody said "yep" to that, V?
and I'm just going to throw in a couple of things. Eating extracts from insects is different from actually eating the. I mean, if you've worn silk, that is an extract from an insect.
Correct. Yeah, but look,
So-
in our Asian countries, bugs are like normal food to them. So we just,
I mean, certain
eventually-
types, they have to process them pretty thoroughly before they can eat them, though, right?
Oh, of course. Yeah, of course. But they never, I mean, in America, I don't think you're ever going to actually see like roaches, like in a jar and be like, hey, how many roaches do you want? Do you want the Florida big roach or you want the little tiny roaches? What kind of roaches? I don't think you're going to see that.
Chitons or chitons, however you pronounce that. That's the potential parasitic infections you can get from eating certain bugs and whatnot, and that's part of why
there's some fish that can kill you too there. So I mean, they'll clean it up. They'll make sure that you can have certain bugs that you can eat and can't eat. Hey, some worms I hear taste like mint.
Well, I'm not interested in finding out, though. I'm just gonna
you don't even know when you're already eating it.
When you were saying all that, I was just thinking about spaghetti and meatballs, except the meatballs are just giant frickin' roaches covered in marinara sauce, and I'm like, no.
Yeah, but see, you don't know you're eating bugs, and it's a meatball with like the marinara sauce and the cheese, and you're like at a restaurant, and they feed you like a bunch of roaches like mashed together, and looks like a meatball, and I'm sure
the cheese.
Cheese.
I imagine the cheese is just like maybe they were milking the roaches, and that's how they made the cheese from it.
Now I do draw the line that shit burgers, turd burgers, I will not eat. That's all I'm saying.
Now you're all reminding me of Starship Troopers. Jesus.
Yeah, well, apparently Elon has Asperger's, so yeah.
All right, well, V,
burgers out the
end. Yeah, let me go. Let me have a turn here.
Yeah, V, go ahead here. We have to keep this moving here.
Because we know, okay, Angel, anti black reparations, pro land parsing for Native Americans. All right, we got it.
We'll give them bomb testing areas. That's all I want. Nuclear. It's cool. A-bomb, maybe.
All right. Well, we know where you stand. All right. Well, listen, what people are failing to realize is rinse and repeat. Rinse and repeat. War, famine, disease, these are the tools of the elite to keep the population in control. It's always been. Okay? Biowarfare has been a thing for as long as man has existed. Okay, throwing the blankets on the Native Americans, that's nothing new. Okay, taking over crops, farmland, it's nothing new. It's nothing new. What is new, and why the elites are so smug about doing it now, is for the simple fact that they've got technology on their side now. We live in a technocracy. Okay, it's not like before when you had Stalin going to war against the farmers in his country and nearly destroyed Russia. You know, in China, you know, the oligarchs there went to war against the farmers many times. What happens though? You get a massive population decline, and the rest of the population comes into compliance. But now, the same thing is going to happen, except for the technology. There's no way we're going to be able to fight back because of the technology. The transhuman agenda has everybody confused and distracted. Great, you know, whatever. Teach their own. But the technology, I can't stress. You know, I talk about it all the time on my show. The covert technology that exists. The government knows way more about you than you think you know. The government knows more about you than you do. That's how bad the surveillance is. And there's just the technology that's going to be used to control you. Okay? COVID, plague, so war. So we got to have a famine at some point. We're already dealing with inflated prices on foods. Yeah, I know I live here in Poland. Food is still dirt cheap by comparison. I'm actually just preparing right now, stack up as much money as I can before I do my business trip, my tour in America, because I know food is going to food is going to really just get to be the main part of my expenses other than gas. So I'm preparing for it. But that's just the thing, though. And you want to talk about the quality of food. I'm terrified. I'm going to go from fresh laid eggs, same day from the chickens, to processed food in America. I'm terrified. And yeah, the bugs, yeah. Listen, look up the health codes. There's a certain amount of insect biomatter that is allowed in your processed foods. Look it up. Spiders, cockroaches, it doesn't matter. I think what they say, there's a certain percentage of like for example, like Campbell's soup, like 8% of 2% of it is like spiders by itself. Just found its way into the machines.
You know what they say? Spiders is the octopus of the land. And who doesn't like
kind of like how shrimps are cockroaches in the sea.
Exactly. Yeah. Yes.
Yeah.
That actually cracks me up big time. The cockroaches. Oh, go ahead.
Well,
always thinking.
I mean, that's a comparison that people want to make. You know, lobsters, scorpions. You know, they're arthropods. There's crustaceans. What's the difference, right? It's nutrients. It's food. Well, I mean, I can see if we were in a post-apocalyptic world, and we needed to make use
some hot sauce in my bugs, and I'm good to ride.
What difference at this point does it make?
Yeah, I mean, but
I mean that is not refried beans in your nachos at Denny's, bro.
A teal hot sauce, baby, makes everything taste better.
That is not chicken in your chicken fillet at McDonald's.
Well, I mean, a lot of the American foods are already stated. There are substitutes for substitutions now. If you look at American foods, I turn to a hypochondriac when I think about American foods now. Now that I've been here in Europe and eating actual fresh stuff from sources, I'm absolutely terrified. But I think I'm gonna lose a lot of weight when I do go back to the States because I'm not going to be eating a lot. That's compliance. This is what it's all about. And they're so smug. They're so freaking smug about it. They know they've got the military power, and it's not even just about the military power. Me being a target individual, when I was a target individual, there are ways these people can screw with you without lifting a finger.
Are you no longer a targeted individual? When did this happen? When did I miss that? That was your charm.
Well,
no, he's still a targeted individual. It's just targeted past tense.
Well, I no longer get the voice to skull. I haven't got that in the past 4.5 years. My computers, well, I mean, for the most part, I've become a computer technician myself, and I'm able to keep my computers running without the hacking and all that stuff. My mail still gets screwed with. Other than that, I'm pretty much in the clear because people are freaking terrified of me.
Well, this is where I'll insert a quote from the Declaration of Independence. The people will suffer any evils for as long as they are sufferable. And that's kind of what's going on with like conservatives waiting for Trump to save them and things like that. I think ultimately humanity will win. I mean, billions are going to die first. But it's just like the Declaration of Independence, like clearly stated, the people are going to roll over until they hit their breaking point, and then those that survive are going to be like, all right, no more. But yeah, do I think billions are going to die? Do I think more than half of the population is going to be wiped out before things get turned around? Oh, yeah, yep.
Well, I mean, that's part of the reason why I was targeted. I mean, I have apparently some of the same values as these people, and they tried recruiting me, and I kept saying no. You guys, I got out of the army. They kept trying to get me to go back, trying to get me. No. You guys didn't realize what you had to start with. I'm not going back because you people are freaking evil. Those evil people I've ever met in my life is in the army. No, I'm not going back. So, okay, well then we're going to target you then. But that was the whole point, was they want to use me because I was smart enough to know what was going on, and I actually agreed with a lot of their point of views. Yes, do I think there's too many people? Socially, yes, I think there's too many people. Now, environmentally, no, we can support a lot more people. What we can do with our technology to help the environment and to advance our species, we can do it. We can do all. There's not too many people. If these people really cared about us, then they would declassify the damn UFO technology and start shipping us to other planets. There's no reason for us to die. But you have to have that prison planet and that intoxication of power to be able to control someone, put them in a box, and call for their execution whenever you want.
There's no such thing as overpopulation. There's no such thing as overpopulation. There's just intentional mismanagement of resources to create artificial scarcity. In that environment, any population is overpopulation. It doesn't have to be that way. If we weren't ruled by psychopaths, this world could be very abundant if we were not ruled by these clowns.
Okay, let's have Pete finish here.
Well, let me finish my point. It's social. That's why that we would be considered overly populated, because we don't get along with each other. It's social overpopulation. But yeah, I'll go ahead.
From this question, real quick. If we overthrow all governments and we replace all governments, aren't we back at square one? Because power corrupts absolutely, and absolute power always corrupts even the good people.
That's another topic.
Why we need revolution.
I can give you one answer to that. Read Larkin Rose's book. Read Larkin Rose's book, The Most Dangerous Superstition, and I'll just leave it there.
All right, Gay, let's have V finish, please.
Go ahead, V.
Yes.
All right, V,
Read in front of
continue.
it, because it's over and over and over. Revolution has to happen over. It's a cycle. Revolution. You got to overthrow the government. Try again. Start over, try again. Start over, try again. Anyways, I'm done. Go ahead, Rierson.
All right, yeah, Rierson, of course, as this is of you dominating the conversation all over again. So I know how much you like to talk and dominate, so the floor is completely yours now.
Gimsuit.
The silence will soon be over. Rierson.
Yeah, it's going to be over now. All right. Yeah, I'm fine. Good night. I'm totally fine with this whole idea. As long as the people that are doing it are going to suffer just like everybody else, which I know is not going to fucking happen. I'm not that stupid and naive. You want to cut off your food supply to the population, reduce the numbers, okay, that's fine. Let's be honest. We're going to be... Who the hell is that? All right, Naroki, you're a little bit loud. Apologies. Okay. It'll help curb greenhouse gas emissions and will stop the oceans from rising up in level. Nothing's fucking changed. I mean, fucking goddamn useless Al Gore. The information superhighway. How did Razorfist put it? He's a great businessman, but he's an absolute awful senator. Has raked in billions. He's living in a mansion that is so... It uses like 17 times... It's a ridiculous number. I think it's 17 times as much power as what any of us would have. So anyone with half a brain who would see that would, even with the mentally challenged left, and I'm sure at the right to some degree or another, but anyway, when it comes down to being an individual basis, anybody with a rational mind would see that and kind of go, oh, so you're going to cut off your supply. You're going to rely on someone else to feed you. Kind of fucking sounds like, like the debt, the student debt relief that we were talking about earlier. You're going to rely on someone else to pay your bills for you. Fucking typical leftist. I might be stretching it a little bit, but that's just kind of what I'm seeing. This just came to me right now. I've learned how to make my own butter, and it's a time-consuming process. It took me about 20 minutes, but I think I made about 2, maybe 3 pounds of actual butter, and it's fucking simple. It is easy. I've been picking up on
butter or regular butter. Hemp butter or regular butter?
It was regular butter.
Wow.
Really, all you do is you get your hand mixer, you get your, I don't know, quart, pint, whatever it is. You got whatever the container is of heavy cream. We're talking like 35% plus of fat, and you whip the shit out of it, and you just keep doing it. The price of butter.
Last time I did that, the girl almost sued me. Continue.
That's the reason why he got the gimp suit, because he needs to whip it, right? Continue, Rierson.
Yes. Yeah.
I whipped it, and I whipped it good. I whipped it so good. My wife is actually, she appreciates for me having done this a while ago, because the price of butter where she works, anyway, at the local co-op, is like $10 for a pound of butter. Now, he's also in a unionized workplace, so it's going to cost more, but still, this is where things are going to be going. Now, what Kelso had said about things being unsufferable until they truly are insufferable, my apologies if I got it wrong, riots tend to happen when the price of food hits more than 40% of your income. This has been overall demonstrated or shown to be about the breaking point. And sadly, right now, we're not there. We're not going to be there for a little while. Now, any country that thinks it's a good idea to destroy your food production is, at best, it is stupid. Mentally challenged would probably be maybe a nicer way to say it.
or at worst, they're fully and thoroughly diabolical, or it's a combination of both. I don't know. Well, depending upon which level of people that are involved, but that's another story. I would say fine, go right ahead, do it if you think that's going to work. However, if you get run out of the country, don't complain. But then again, if you're running out of the country, you've got your riches in one form or another stashed away, and I guess you're laughing. You're like, well, I don't need those fucking people anymore. So that's all that I have to say on this one. Just like communism, it'll work. They'll keep working on it until it finally works. Anyway, done. Rookie.
Get on with the next topic here. Oh wow. Yeah, look at all these memes that are coming up here. All right, let me get on with the next topic here. We are talking about actor and quite likely psychopath Kevin Spacey. He was found not guilty. Now, here is some of the stuff that was going on in the background with Kevin Spacey's trial. One of I believe there were 3 individuals, of which only one, I believe that, again, the mainstream stories that I'm reading leave details out. One of the 3 people that initially filed charges against Kevin Spacey, and by the way, there were rumors floating around for years that Kevin Spacey was gay, and he also fell into and I noticed this with Kevin Spacey's acting, he tended to fall into the role of an intellectual bully. Really, really, he played that part really, really well. Based upon a lot of the stories I read, the reason why he is so adept at playing that part is because he is a, maybe not a, because there's a difference between a psychopath and a sociopath. I think Kevin Spacey falls more on the side of psychopath as opposed to sociopath. Sociopaths are basically psychopaths who kill. Now, Kevin Spacey doesn't want to kill. But again, of the 3 people, my understanding of the 3 people that were initially charging Kevin Spacey, the first one just suddenly refused to testify. Another one died of a drug overdose, but keep in mind the guy was already an addict, and addicts die all the time. Again, and the third one apparently just disappeared. So they didn't have a particularly strong case against Spacey. And also, the first court appearance, there were some legal maneuvers, probably because we were talking about this with V was talking about this with Vinny Eastwood to buy Spacey time. So the prosecution of Spacey was kind of hamstrung right from the start. Now, I also have to point this out that, and the same sort of thing is going on with Andrew Tate right now, which is why I have to kind of go, okay, yeah, Kevin Spacey's your typical Hollywood asshole, but then again, so was Johnny Depp, and turns out Johnny Depp wasn't nearly as culpable as they initially thought he was. So a lot of the stuff that went on with Kevin Spacey was trial by media. Andrew Tate is currently going through the exact same thing. So, I mean, you have to take that with a grain of salt. Rumors have been floating around about Kevin Spacey. I mean, again, because this is sort of like a community that was sort of tangentially involved with. Spacey is not a particular was even at his peak, he was not exactly the most beloved guy. I mean, yeah, he got awards. He knew how to play the game. He knew how to keep up appearances. But yeah, bully, psychopath, not a particularly likable individual. In which case,
Yeah,
I'm kind of
audience liked him. I mean, he did get awards. He was great in K-Pax and
he was absolutely phenomenal in K-Pax.
great
I
actor.
liked some of his stuff. I mean, I especially liked him in L.A. Confidential.
Another great
Brilliant in
performance.
L.A. Confidential.
The
The
Usual Suspects. I mean, I don't care how many days
The Usual Suspects
come on.
rocks, man. We
I
can.
mean,
We,
my
we,
favorite,
The Interrogator
my
was the best.
favorite was American Beauty. Frankly, the 1999 one.
That's a great
And
film too. Yeah,
so
no, look,
yeah,
he
it
turned
was
out
a good year for
movies.
movies in 1999. You had Fight Club, American Beauty, and The Matrix, which are just like right up there still today, I think.
all three of those are right up there.
Well,
Anyway,
he was
yeah,
a-
Kevin
yeah.
Spacey knew how to play. Kevin Spacey knew how to play the game. Absolutely, he definitely knew his craft. That doesn't necessarily. Again, same thing with musicians. Just because they know how to act, that doesn't make them. And I know this from having encountered a few actors. That does not make them decent human beings. And there was always, again, right?
Yeah, I know a few human beings that make terrible actors, but
Yeah.
potato.
But I mean, it's did he get away with it? I'm leaning towards the side of yes. I did not super familiar with the trial. The one thing that does stand out about this particular trial, though, was the either disappearance, death, or refusal to testify of some of the initial witnesses that came forward. That's kind of like a red flag for conspiracy people doing stuff behind the scenes. Kevin Spacey does have the financial resources to pull off something exactly like that, or have people do it for him.
Sounds like Hillary.
Yep, and of course, and then of course, if you want to start getting, and I don't want to go too far down this rabbit hole because we've been having a habit of going down a rabbit hole a little bit too much tonight. I mean, let's talk some of the like Tom Hanks's odd reaction to Isaac Cappy's death. If you want to go down, that. So yeah, there's definitely a lot of dark crap going on in Hollywood, and is Kevin Spacey right in the middle of it? Wouldn't surprise me. Did he get away with it? I'm going to lean towards yes, but I wasn't on the jury and I wasn't watching the trial. And, we now know that Kevin Spacey is gay and oh, yes, by the way, when this stuff first came out, he actually did try to use the fact that he was gay as a cover. But with that, I guess we'll let Kelso go next. So, Kelso, you're up.
Yeah, all I got to say is it just sounds very like Hillary Clinton to me. Like anybody who, wants to go testify against the Clintons ends up bowing out or getting into a car accident or dying suddenly or, whatever. It sounds very suspicious to me. That's all I got to say.
Angel, I'm sure you got a lot to say on this one, so take it away.
Is one of the I guess the only one left, the one that refused to testify, is that the guy who's on Star Trek Discovery?
I can't remember. I don't know the guy's specific name, but yeah, there was one died of a drug. One just refused to testify. One died of a drug overdose, and they had a hell of a time trying to find the third guy. I don't know whether he actually made it, but there were other people that also came forward as well. Like it was more than just those three, but those were the initial three.
Right. Well, I'm not shocked that he's gay because his brother about 20-something years ago actually spoke about this publicly and about why he lived overseas because I guess it was easy for his nightlife, to walk around in the shadows of London and go searching for some cock, eh? Wait, that's the wrong accent. But anyway, and so I'm not shocked at that. That never really bugged me. I like to diffuse the actor with the person and split them. And I enjoy his movies. I like a lot of his work, like I said earlier. But that he's a weirdo and a Hollywood elitist, one of these shady characters doesn't shock me. He's allegedly had been to or is tied to the Epstein Island and had been there multiple times. And he's very buddy, as we know, with Bill Clinton. I wonder what that's about. Remember, they found that big old painting of Bill Clinton in the Monica dress in Epstein's island. So I wonder what shenanigans are going on there. Hey, boys, huh? Circle jerk. Everybody, get in the circle. Let's all jerk each other off. And, I'm sure there's a lot of that going on. But as far as, this whole thing about... Yeah, things happen. But look, as far as him getting off in court, he gets off wherever he goes. He's a gay dude. I'm sure he whoops it on and gets off. But look, the whole being found not guilty thing. I looked at some of the stuff that they were trying to accuse him of. Some of it just it was like he said, she said. Pronouns be damned. It's just, there's really no there. Like you said, one person is dead. How can he testify? Unless you got a Ouija board and a couple of priests that are really good, that person's not going to testify. At the end of the day, he's an old dude. What do you do? Throw an old fag in prison? That's like sending him to a freaking country club. He's just going to be like, okay, and he's going to have some fun. I mean, cocks are plenty, right? So, I mean, is that supposed to, scare Kevin Spacey? He's already rich. What are you going to go and just give him some cock for free? I mean, come on. At least now he has to pay for this shit. But look, Hollywood is not dealing with him anymore. As far as I know, I haven't seen him in any recent movies. Or anything major. I don't think he's probably ever going to get to that status of being in major movies again. But then again, it is Tinseltown, so you never know. Sometimes the weirder, queer, and more child pedophilia loving you are, the further you get in Tinseltown. Just ask Governor Newsom over in California. He's trying to legalize pedophilia and all kinds of crap with Nancy Pelosi and all the other weirdos in California. Too many to name, obviously. But end of the day, really don't care. If he makes a good movie, here or there, I may watch it, I may not. But who gives a damn? He's free to go, and that's that. Who's next?
That would be Vinny.
Vinny, man, you may want to hit the unmute button. I'm just saying.
Literally, no. I had to get to the
Good
unmute
day,
button
mate.
after washing and drying my hands because I just finished crumbing some fish for dinner.
Very nice.
Some fish and chips.
Yeah,
no,
it's almost as good as gin and juice. Fish and chips are made, right?
Yeah.
There you go.
Actually, no.
I'm
kidding. Actually, I had a Santos Bonacci on my show one time, and I told him to start off the show with a New Zealander joke. And he tells me a story about this Kiwi who goes into a shop and he goes, "Can I have some fish and chops?" And the Aussie behind the counter goes, "Mate, that's not how it's pronounced. It's pronounced fish and chips." He goes, "Oh, fish and chips, eh?" "Yeah, mate, fish and chips. Go practice it." He goes, all right. Goes around practicing, fish and chips, fish.
Where are the spices? Where are the chips?
And he goes back into the shop and says, "Can I have some fish and chips?" And the Aussie behind the counter goes, "You must be from New Zealand." He goes, "Well, how could you tell? This is a hardware store, mate."
I'm sure that plays really well in a big crowd, though. Just saying.
Yeah, the room would go silent if this was a comedy club. Go continue,
now you
Vinny.
gotta-
Yeah.
No, I think if you have several, maybe a million people,
Vinny's
you'll
got to
get
tell
a
the
good section
Australian
that
joke
would really
now.
laugh hard at that.
Vinny's got to tell the Australian joke that he made up in reply, because Vinny picked up exactly what I dropped. So go.
Well, what was my
There you go.
Australian joke on the day, bro? I can't
Oh, you don't remember?
I mean,
Well, you countered with an Australian joke. You said what's the difference between
oh yeah, I remember. Yeah. What's
Okay,
the
go
difference
ahead.
between Australians and cheese? If you
Oh,
leave
boy.
cheese in a desert for 200 years, it'll develop some form of culture.
Nice.
We have a
Nice.
correct answer. The judges say yes, that's the correct answer. You're awarded $2,000, and you get to pick again.
Is that 2,000 US or New Zealand dollars?
No, that's Monopoly money, sir.
Because
Monopoly
if it
money.
was 2,000 US, that would make it like nearly 3,200 New Zealand. So that'd be good.
Look, it
Just
was
like-
Monopoly money.
Just wire it over to the Vinny Eastwood Legal Fund.
TheVinnyEastwoodShow.com. Apparently, VinnyEastwood.com got taken down or something like that. So to reroute it to the old new one, TheVinnyEastwoodShow.com. So that's a real bugger. I've texted the guy who had that set up for me and asked him what's going on, but he hasn't replied. So I was just like, oh man, that was lame. It was so much easier just VinnyEastwood.com. But anyway, the whole country's going to crap. The world's going to crap. Everybody's trying to hunker down. And I remember talking to Dr. Rima Labo about this, and it's like, you can make your private members groups. You can find doctors who are willing to work outside of the purview of the Ministry of Health. You can find alternative sources for food, power, policing, all sorts of things. But what you can't really control is the huge technocratic control grid that's going to stop you from doing any of those things. That once it's set up, once it's known and is working at full tilt, it won't matter if you're on a farm. They'll just send a bunch of drones and just drive you off the land. So whatever's going on right now, motivation is paramount. We need to really motivate people to get off their ass and do something about it. I mean, as a talk radio show host, ironically, sitting on my ass is doing something about it because I'm always doing shows and trying to enlighten people as to.
Well, you could have sex with
they may
Kevin
have missed.
Spacey and then blackmail him. Sorry,
I've got to be honest. I've thought about it. Now, we wanted to talk about.
He's too old anyway.
Yeah.
Not for nothing, but last time I went to a therapist, I told him, I can't stop singing that green grass of home. And he said, that sounds like Tom Jones syndrome. I said, is it? Is it common? I asked, and he said, well, it's not unusual, he replied.
No. See, you're so confused. You went to see The Rapist.
Well, I am on a whiskey diet, and I've already lost 3 days.
Red Pill Nation, one standard, no standard. Continue, Vinny.
Vinny, I just want to say, sometimes people, when we talk about this stuff, people tell me, "Oh no, it's all hopeless. We can't unite. We're fucked." Blah blah blah. And my response to them is always, "Only if everybody thinks like you, then yes, you're right. But if everybody doesn't think like you, then you're wrong."
True story.
Well, it's good that everybody doesn't think like me, and I just wonder, like, all the years of doing shows, what have I done? I think I've done like maybe 250,000 hours of work for free for the good of humanity, just editing, doing shows, helping people out at protests, things like that. And what have I got to show for it? I think it's mostly just the connections that I've made and the people that I know, so that when I'm in trouble, I've got maybe 180 people that I can call around the world who've got radio shows who might be able to help me out in some way. But when somebody in New Zealand, just a random person on the street, gets called over, who have they got to help them, right? And that's because they haven't done the work. That's the thing.
Mm-hmm.
You really have to do your work. You know, your reputation precedes you, as they say. And
how long has your show been on, if I may ask?
Since the actual Vinny Eastwood show, 2010 was when we first had it on. But I was on radio as a co-host 6 months previous to that, and I was online making videos. I think I made about 700 videos in 2 years. In my first 2 years from 2008. So all up. That's
so you've been around for a while then. Wow.
I started
about 4 more years longer than me.
I started PSEC in 2011, and sometimes it's hard for me to believe, like, oh my God, I've been doing it for this long? Really?
I started podcasting in 2008, gentlemen, and I hooked up with Soul Floor Radio and George Rodriguez in 2009 after being on Tenacity Radio. Ha! So I got you all beat. I'm just saying.
Just a little bit. All right, Vinny, are you done? Because you still have B and
every little counts.
You see.
Yeah, I'm done. I'm totally done.
Okay, V, you're up, and then we go over to Rearson.
It's hard for Vinny to focus on the topics because he's too busy protecting his baby from being eaten by a dingo.
Hey, well, this is not a man dingo. Continue.
Hey, well, I didn't say
pedophile.
He will never have to protect his baby from me. Okay.
All
right.
There you go. Ebony and ivory. We can live together in peace. Go ahead, V.
All right, Vinny. Let's have V. Let's get V going. By the way, we just passed the 2.5 hour mark, so we're going to have to start keeping it laser from this point.
Yeah, I want to get to the next topics here, but I listen. Angel said pretty much everything I want to say, but I will add this.
It happens.
He should, instead of it being a nice resort, because these prisons, they keep track of people who have STDs, especially AIDS. They should shove him. Hey, let him do a year in prison. Make sure he goes to that cell with that weird, creepy guy that looks like he's got the plague.
That's me.
Let him get raped. Let him get, so that way, when he gets out of prison, he has to spend the rest of his money on AIDS treatment, like Magic Johnson. And then he'll be poor and broke like the rest of us.
Yeah, but that's a bad example because Magic Johnson's got like a buttload of cash, and he's been having HIV for 50 years. That dude's never gonna die.
Why not just sell him human trafficking as a sex slave? Maybe he could screw George Soros.
Oh,
whoa! You just went really dark, but that would be a. Yeah,
are you suggesting
that a horror movie?
Are you suggesting that Kevin Spacey should have sex with George Soros using his Magic Johnson?
Whoa, that's even better. I like that.
Vinny, that's exactly it. Precisely. You picked up what I dropped.
But I'm pretty sure that Soros would. I'm pretty sure that Soros would be open to it because, as he says, he has no moral feelings about the consequences of his actions.
Well, he could
Amen to that.
Penetrated like a cabinet by Klaus Schwab.
Mm.
Okay, so continue.
How deep do you need to be penetrated before you need a Schwab?
With an anal swab?
You're fitting right in here, Vinny.
Well, that's what she said.
An anal Schwab?
Anal Schwab.
Okay, V, do you have anything more to add, or can
yes, I want to say that I don't think. I mean,
They got
His
pills for
career's over.
They
His
got
career's over.
pills for that.
His, everything Angel said, his career's over. I mean, basically, in a way, he's kind of already paid. But I think that just, it is weird that somebody had to die of a drug overdose. I wonder where this guy got the drugs from. Probably from somebody who's rich, who probably wanted to bribe him or make sure that he didn't want to talk. I think that's kind of one of those rich people murders. That's one of those things. I don't think he should get away with that. There should be some more investigation into that. But as far as these, and I've always known Kevin Spacey was gay. I knew it first time I ever seen him on screen. Totally gay. Not that that meant anything. I just had a sharp gaydar when I was younger because, oh boy, those gay friends have a lot more female friends. So it's definitely important to keep a couple of gay friends in your repertoire. So, but yeah, I knew he was gay. I don't know why that was a big surprise to anybody. But other than that, I didn't even know this whole thing was going on. I didn't even know there was a trial until you guys brought it up today. So hopefully, I don't know, maybe he could be retried for something else. Because I believe there's a murder. Anyways,
yeah. I mean, the LA stuff is still ongoing. This was the stuff in London, so yeah, I'm going to have to start getting my facts straight here. Rearson, take this topic out, and I'm glad you resisted the temptation to put on the gimp suit because of the nature of the topic.
Well, I'm going to be. What Angel said that he can separate the actor from the person. I can't. I can't do it, and I'm not going to do it.
Roman Polanski and Woody Allen. It's been done many times. I'm just saying on like his previous performances, I'm still gonna like those movies. I'm not suddenly gonna be like, I'm never watching The Usual Suspects again because he blew somebody. And,
well, I found out some stuff about there's Woody Allen. There's some stuff around that maybe actually not maybe, very good chance he's not guilty of what he's charged for. But yeah, let Rearson finish this off because he's still got 2 more topics to go tonight.
Yeah. As Kelso had said, I mean, it has been a case of that people have been Arkancided, or yeah, that's the closest word I get. I was trying to formulate another word, but it wasn't going to work. Anyway, I mean, how many times do we have to expect that someone's just not going to stand up, won't be able to stand up to Kevin Spacey because it's not him. My opinion is that it's not him. It's what he is, which good close associate of you may wish to mute yourself, my friend. If things are to be believed, and he's closely enough associated with Epstein's Island. It's not just him, but everybody that has gone there have a lot to lose if the public wakes up to what I believe he really is. Now, this is in London, and correct me if I'm wrong, but didn't the same thing kind of happen to Johnny Depp with his London case, that nothing went through, but he did finally get justice was given to him when he was in LA or wherever it was in America?
Well, the way that trial went, it's the judge ruled in favor of Amber Heard. Mm-hmm. His rationale and his logic for siding with Amber. Keep in mind, this was a defamation case, not against Amber Heard, but against the Sun newspaper as well. Mm-hmm. Those are very hard to win in the first place. So he ruled in favor of this, but his rationale and his logic for doing it really didn't make a lot of sense. It did until, of course, you got into the afterwards and you found that the judge was kind of compromised and all of that stuff. And of course, everybody looked at that defamation case as, oh, well, Johnny's guilty. We can all let him go now. Never mind the fact that the Virginia stuff still had to come around. But continue, Rusin, because we got to keep this moving.
Yeah. So,
and by the way, Rierson, I'm glad you brought that up because there's nowhere in the world I can look and not see anything about the Johnny Depp and Amber Heard case. I had no idea anything about this Kevin Spacey thing. So that goes to show you, like, people want this covered up.
Well,
that's what he said.
Okay, let's keep this going. Rierson, finish this off.
Yeah, so at the end of the day, if he has been a frequent visitor, or a frequent enough visitor of Epstein's Island, and from what I've heard, apparently he's incredibly sadistic, and he likes boys that scream. They don't want him around. But if he falls, the whole system starts to collapse in on itself. So my opinion is that there are a lot of very well-to-do people that look great in the public, but are probably monsters in private, that do not want this to get out. And we can probably include the Clintons and all of that as well too, because Bill's been there like 26, 27 times, or he's been in the Lolita Express 27 times, or whatever that number is. Anyway, I'm hopeful that what happened with Johnny Depp, where it didn't go his way in the London court, I'm hoping that they've got something much more solid and bulletproof. And then maybe they're just waiting for this one to go through, and maybe they'll have something on him in LA or wherever the case may be in America. Again, pure speculation on my part, but expectations as well too. So I am likely going to be watching movies with a very different eye, and it will come down to is, what has the actor done, or what has the actress said? It's going to be difficult for me to be able to separate Luke Skywalker from Mark Hamill, because it's just that ingrained in me. But I'm probably going to have to do something along those lines as well too, because that guy's out to lunch. But anyway.
Yeah, but Mark Hamill hasn't really done anything of like major, other than like maybe the Joker voice. Other than that, Star Wars is his thing,
That's all he's got.
Well, Rierson's going to be watching movies with the old one eye. What kind of movies again?
I prefer subtitled Japanese. That's not mosaic. So.
Wrong eye.
Why not? Hey.
Wow.
Well, once again, Red Pill Nation, no fucking standards. So anyway, that's that's all I got to say on this one. So,
Steve, I think even our standards also fuck too.
Well, I'm not fucking with anybody's standards, I assure you. So I'll leave that alone too. Narky, if you're ready, let's move on to the next one.
All right, this next one. Well, when Twitter was called to task, they made a decision at that point in time to go and subpoena the files of Instagram and YouTube and Facebook and all of those other social media companies to try to figure out whether the FBI was doing the same thing with them that they were doing with Twitter. Well, it is now Facebook's turn under the stirring hot light of that commission is still going on, the one that investigated government collusion with social media companies to suppress free speech. That commission is still happening. It was Twitter's turn to sit in a chair this week or last week, and lo and behold, literally almost all of the same things that were happening at Twitter were also happening at Facebook. A lot of ex-intelligence agency and people got hired by Facebook. There were suspicious emails. There were concerns that they were maybe censoring a little bit too much. The government contact for Facebook, was they got super upset over a meme. As we all know, Facebook's always had certain issues. I mean, in particular about stealing your personal information. Again, I am not surprised. Again, fortunately for Facebook, they did not have to go first, so they didn't have people like Yoel Roth and Vijaya Gadde basically coming in to get garroted publicly like they had with Twitter. But effectively what it boiled down to is that Facebook is guilty of like literally doing because I mean it's almost a 1-for-1 parallel. Hiring a government officials, backdoor rooms to communicate with DHS or the FBI or the Justice Department. Literally the exact same thing that was going on at Twitter was going on at Facebook. I personally cannot wait till they bring in YouTube. Zuckerberg, though, was not actually called in to testify. He might get called in at a later date, but he was not called in. But I mean, yeah. They tried to kind of twist fact when Twitter first came around. The mainstream media kind of had attempted to twist facts. Now that the media spotlight is primarily off the issue, they weren't trying to twist the spotlight as much with this particular thing. Yeah, Facebook was doing the exact same thing. Now, is anything going to come out of this commission? I don't know. But, again, Facebook was just as guilty as Twitter was. The thing that really stands out, and this has got nothing to do with Facebook, but the day that Elon Musk took that sink into the Twitter offices, and there were people up on the second floor watching him doing it, and among the individuals that was up there on that second floor watching Elon Musk come in with that kitchen sink was none other than the former press secretary, Jen Psaki, who had just recently, and of course coincidentally, got hired by Twitter. I don't know whether she's still there or not, but she was in the building the day Elon Musk marched in with that sink.
Psaki to me now, baby.
Yeah, well, I mean, I will say this about Psaki. She is definitely she's definitely better than Karine, because Karine Jean-Pierre is just like
she's got red hair,
bad.
so yeah, and she's got red hair, so it's right up there. Sometimes it's red down there too. So
yeah, I know. I got a bit of a soft spot for redheads. Kelso, you're up.
Yep. Well, all I can say is, as usual, just like the mainstream media, all these different big companies are simply just another arm of government, and government's just another arm of the World Economic Forum, which is just another arm of, you get the idea there. Refer to the whole thing. It's very dangerous to our democracy. If you remember that whole video that came out where it shows that everybody's parroting everybody. So yeah, like everything's controlled. There's conflict of interest all over the place. It's an open secret. So, yeah, I mean, the sky's blue, the glass is green. Business is as usual, and we'll see what happens, which probably nothing will come of it. Just like when Trump promised he was gonna take care of all this stuff, and there's even an existing law that says, you can choose to be a platform or a publisher, but, not both, where as a publisher, you can censor all you want, but you're liable for everything. In a platform, you can't censor, but, you're not liable for what the people post. Pick one, but, they go into court, and YouTube or Facebook or whomever will say that they are both a platform and a publisher and reserve both rights on both fronts, which the law doesn't technically allow for. But hey, when the law isn't applied equally, the law is dead. So what law? We have virtue signals. We don't have law. We have rules for thee, not for we. And welcome to the USSA, comrade. You know, the COVID Reich. You know, the new Soviet socialist America. You know, all these different forms of tyranny. You could say communitarianism, you could say Nazi, you can say Stalin. It's just, you know, it's all different flavors of the same soup. So nothing new under the sun, and I don't expect anything to get done.
Okay, Angel.
What was the topic again? Sorry, I'm a little high.
The
I actually had
congressional
something to
hearings
say
on
here.
Facebook and it being supposed to be exactly the same as the Twitter files. The Facebook files are like literally almost exactly the same as the Twitter files.
I had something to add briefly.
okay.
I thought I was up to Kelso, but
Vinny wants to say something uninebriated and completely coherent.
I'll go after Vinny because I will say I was muted and I was getting a little baked. So go ahead, Vinny. I'll go right after you.
Sure, brother. Yeah, it happened in New Zealand actually during the 2020 election. I was part of the Billy TK's New Zealand Public Party. And 3 weeks before election day, our Facebook page, which had a larger following than the Prime Minister Jacinda Ardern, got banned from Facebook, right? And right after that happening, every single person who had access to the party page as well, this is like nearly 100 people, also got all of their Facebook accounts restricted for 3 weeks. So during the last 3 weeks of the campaign, we couldn't do anything on Facebook to defend ourselves against a documentary that came out defaming Billy TK from the mainstream media. And then they banned us from social media the next day so that we couldn't defend ourselves against it right in the middle of an election. And then, of course, it turns out, the same as these hearings that you're saying here, is that the government had a backdoor to it the whole time. And that means that the New Zealand government can and will prevent any political opposition from having a platform on the internet if they deem it so. So that's freaking scary. And so
Now
I think that similar kind of stuff is happening. Oh, go ahead, man. Go ahead, Angel.
No, I just wanted to say, you know, I was going to let you finish, but now it just hit me. Facebook, Twitter. Why is anybody shocked by any of this? Like I said, these platforms have been corrupt, and I love the fact Elon Musk went in with the kitchen sink, as y'all mentioned earlier before I burned a bowl. And he would, the kitchen sink and said, here's your everything, including the kitchen sink. And he spent $44 billion, and he could wipe his ass with it. And now it's Twitter, X or X Twitter or whatever. But look, whether it's Facebook, whether it's Twitter, Instagram, which makes me want to smoke more weed, by the way, than Instagram, or whether it's True Social or any of these platforms, they all have their agendas. At the end of the day, I think the world was better off when we didn't have any social media, but MySpace. So I say we get rid of all social media and go back to MySpace. Huh? Who's with me?
MySpace was my wheelhouse. I had a new date, new girl every weekend.
That's what I'm saying, son. See? Yeah, MySpace was the shit. Especially when you can customize it like whatever the way you want it. You can look at looking like a legit website, kind of. But you still have that awkward picture.
Just so you know, there is a site called Spacey that is a MySpace clone that exists, and they mimic MySpace pretty damn accurately. Seems like you can do all the things that MySpace used to do. I'll put it in the chat.
Very nice. See, you learn something new every day. That's very cool. But at the end of the day, social media is what it is. It's a platform for, people with a lot of money to go and spread their agendas. And us individuals just go and chat about like the last burgers we ate and the last chicks we banged. And, we keep it moving. I don't get caught up in all that nonsense because, the propaganda doesn't like you really like bug me or get to me. I know who I'm going to vote for by like what they talk about. That's why I'm an independent. So like the fact that they spent all this money to try to swing an election and do anything for me, I knew who I was voting for, but I could see where it's a problem, and for other people who are not like myself, and that's why I like what Elon Musk did with the Twitter files. And now, of course, Sucker or Muckerberger or whatever the guy's name from Facebook, he is doing the whole metaverse stupidity thing or whatever that garbage is. But at the end of the day, I just, I stopped caring. Like, I go there, I drop some, some info on what I'm working on, drop the links of my videos. Hopefully it pays. If it doesn't, oh well. I do my podcast, drop the links. If it pays, great. If it doesn't, oh well. I'm not too caught up in the whole nonsense as a lot of people are. What is really scary though is like now you walk anywhere here in America, and all you see is like people walking in the streets. When you do walk down the street, and everybody has a phone and they're all looking down. It's going to get dangerous if people are going to start just like bumping into each other because everybody's looking at their phone. And I'm telling you, it's going to be like, they're going to be tickets given, like when you hit somebody in the back with your car. Now if you bump somebody in the back, sorry V, with, like your foot or something, you might eventually get to the point where you can sue that person for aggravated assault. And it's all because you're facing your phone like an idiot. That is an entirely different nightmare. I think we need to go back to simpler days. I want, vinyl records. I want MySpace. I want Fago Soda. I want Checker Burgers.
Hey, whoops! Hey, sorry about that. I lost my phone in your ass. Do you mind?
I want dollar, burgers at McDonald's. I want cheaper combos at Taco Bell. It's ridiculous. You go to Taco Bell now, it's like $13 for combos, like $5, a few years ago. You can't go to fast food anymore. And you know who I blame it on? Biden, the left, and the idiots who put up with this crap. When we stop giving to these big corporations, eventually they'll get the gist. But first, we got to stop voting for imbeciles, and we got to take our countries back through the voting system and through electing people that are actually not on the take. But then again, like I said earlier, absolute power corrupts absolutely. So, good luck with that.
All right, Vinny. Or did you already speak, Vinny? I'm trying to remember.
I think he might have, but Vinny, go again.
Yeah.
So good.
You said something? Okay, so
all right.
A bump into you. Oh, yeah, that's my phone.
Yeah.
Oh, excuse me. Let me get that for you. Oh, yeah.
Fat.
Oh, yeah, that's my. Sorry, I didn't mean to bump into you. That's my phone in your lap. Can I have that? Thank you. Oh, yeah, that's nice. Yeah, that's real nice. Yeah, you got your phone in my peanut butter. Yeah, you got your phone in my chocolate. I'm sorry. I'm just having too much fun with that imagery.
V, is that your phone in your pocket, or you just happen to see me?
Is your phone set on vibrate for a reason there, V? Mm-hmm.
Waiting for a good time.
Somebody took the words come up a little too serious.
Don't be telling somebody to keep calling you every 20 seconds. Just saying.
Hit you with that air tag. Yeah. Well, it's kind of vindicating a little bit, even though I know there's nothing's going to come of it. But I've been talking about this since, like, I don't know, day one. That I've been in media. Feds, they're everywhere. Yeah. Even before the articles started coming out about Facebook security being federal agents and federal cells being talked about. Cells. That means whole teams of federal agents working on these platforms. These aren't just your employees, one here, one there. They had entire cells. So, yeah, I mean, it comes out more and more, but of course, the more it comes out, the more they weaken it and lessen it. It's not a big deal. Yeah, entire employee teams to former employee here and there. Yeah, give me a break. It's because you've already installed your covert infrastructure. You don't need entire teams anymore. So, I mean, it doesn't make it any less evil. And just the level of censorship. Now, I know nobody here knows this or remembers this because I'm pretty sure I was not friends with any of you at this time, but I had sources that told me about COVID before it hit the news. I literally went to my profile and say, hey, guys, there's something coming. You might want to watch the medical news. There's a virus. My profile was shut down, deactivated, deleted. And this is after years of literally.
Friday night, I'm getting it.
I'm sorry.
Go ahead. Sorry, I just forgot to mute.
Yeah. So, and this is like after years of me, posting about other top secret stuff. No, they were not going to tolerate anybody giving any information on COVID. They were not going to tolerate that. That's how much of a psyop that it was. They didn't want anybody talking about it until it came out in mainstream news. So I was the first person, as far as I know, to say anything on social media, and my head got cut off. Not been able to get on Facebook since. Facebook watches me so hard. Here's the surveillance. Facebook watches me so hard. If I try to create another profile, maybe with a fake name, whatever, I can, generate an email. I can change my IP address. Within 12 hours, that profile is being asked to show picture ID or is shut down. I can't even make a fake Facebook profile. They know it's me. That's how bad the surveillance is. So, I mean, people want to talk about the censorship. The surveillance is much worse. If they can see through my IP, my VPN changer, if they can see through that, see through, see that as a new email, that's too much. That's too much surveillance. But of course, you must have a high level of surveillance if you're going to have any capabilities of censorship. That's the other half that people need to understand and be worried about. Censorship. No one will be censoring you if they weren't watching you. People need to be worried about the surveillance. Surveillance. Okay? That's what needs to be that's the real concern here.
I mean, bro, can I just cut in here? Because
go ahead.
I actually got visited by the cops the other day to warn me that to warn me that people are watching my feeds and they could be offended.
Yeah,
Did you
well,
say? Did you say that? Well, that's the purpose, you idiot, and
That's
close the door.
Really?
No, I didn't. I said thank you very much for your time. Bye-bye.
Yeah, good enough for me.
message received. Now, F off. All right. Yeah. See, that's what. Perfect example. Thank you. So yeah, I mean, I want to keep it short, so I'll just leave it at that. Go ahead, Rurson.
Once again, the mute button is not your
Yeah,
friend.
out of your mouth.
Right. Thank you. All right.
Yeah.
So, much like what Vinny has experienced. Yeah. So, what like Vinny's experienced, what V has said that he can't get on Facebook, and it's a fucking god awful cesspool of stupidity. You're not missing very much there, my friend, but we know that already. Anyway, I had my Facebook account restricted. I needed to present photo ID to prove that it's me. Else, I had 30 days to scan my driver's license, and I was like, no, fuck you. No, I'm not fucking doing this. And it happened to one of my coworkers as well too. The only thing that we can think of that was common between the two of us, and it's only one data point or one shared point, was that it was probably regarding Hunter Biden's laptop. And this was 2 months, I think. It's when it made headlines just before the 2020 election. So I know they are surveilling it. They're keeping close tabs on it and making sure that no one steps out of line, or else, bam.
Well, that's how they rigged 2020. I mean, remember they suppressed the whole laptop thing, and like they're doing now. You notice, like every time there's big news or breaking info on the Biden crime family, it's like a day or two passes, and all of a sudden a new indictment against Trump. So the media doesn't like pay attention to what Biden's crime family are doing. They're all like talking about Trump. Like they treat the guy like he's worse than Hitler. But then again, he hasn't killed one Jew. So what do they keep, mentioning Hitler when they talk about Trump? Not one Jew.
Well, Jew, Christian, homosexual.
Christian. Well, who has he killed? Nobody.
Yeah.
So we know.
Well, I mean, how many? Okay, I'll go off on a bit of a tangent, but how many celebrities have lost their mind? That Tom Hanks wasn't overtly against Trump, but there are enough of them that flew off the fucking handle. And Rob Reiner's one of the worst. I know Stephen King's also piped up about it as well too, but we'll leave them alone.
Oh, but he's a complete cunt, though.
I think the far right would say that the problem with Trump is that he hasn't killed any Jews. Just saying.
Yeah, I didn't say that.
Oh, I didn't kill, so that's good. I didn't expect that one, but yeah, you're right.
But that's a good point.
Explanation of why he hasn't done any of it, because he needs money. All right, and nothing's going to stop the donations.
I didn't say that either.
I just killed a few Jews, especially if you happen to be a former money man for the Meyer Lansky mob. That's the New York Jewish Mafia, which is how Trump originally made his money, laundering money for them in his casinos.
Yeah. Well, what's
funny though, guys? You know what's funny? One of the indictments, they're trying to charge him with a charge that they initially created for the KKK, so they keep trying to draw Trump into that, which is hysterical because his families have been proven they never owned slaves or were part of the KKK, but the Bidens sure were. But nobody's talking about that. But yeah, they're trying to arrest Trump now on some BS charge, which hasn't been used in 100 years, and it was invented to put on trial KKK members. Huh?
Well, as I like to say, Trump may have built a wall for America, but Klaus Schwab built a mirror for the world.
True. That's true. Yeah.
Well, regardless, at the end of the day, I will not be the least bit surprised, as Kelso has said, and V for that matter, that it's going to come out that what Twitter was not the exception to the rule. Twitter was the mold for everybody, for any of them that are big. So what's going to come out of it? There'll be some interesting information and some more eye-opening topics that I talk about at the water cooler at work or wherever else. But again, I think that this is just going to be I feel that this is going to be a slow rollout to hopefully make people aware as to what can be done with government overreach. So, and I will leave it at that.
If I'm at the water cooler and somebody starts talking about Twitter or Twitch or Facebook, I'm punching their ass right in the throat. I'm just saying, then I'm walking away.
The water cooler, that's the name of the gay bar you frequent?
I choose to neither confirm or deny those rumors. That's for my press secretary, Jen Sakia, to me to go ahead and address those things there, Ray.
In order to get that information, you're going to have to ask Kevin Spacey.
That is correct, yes.
Oh!
Notice the silence.
All right, we go to the next topic?
Okay, yep, hold on a second. Sorry, my button wouldn't unmute either. Okay,
That's what she said.
And also,
with my Facebook, with my main Facebook group, the Red Pill Nation, the one I have on Facebook, I was experiencing very explosive growth. Like I was adding 40 people, I was literally adding between 40 and 100 people a day until I started sharing libs of TikTok on the page, and all of a sudden membership it just stopped, and the membership was going down. It's only been in the last couple of weeks where I'm starting to get like about a dozen or so people joining every day again. Like it was that way for a long time. After I started posting libs of TikTok on my Facebook group. Yeah.
Facebook forced me into long-term relationships.
Yep. Well,
No. When I had my MySpace, because with MySpace you can search for people. You want female? You want you can do body types, athletic, average. You can. I think you can choose like eye color, hair color, if I remember correctly. So you can actually search for a mass amount of people on the database based on their physical features. This was on MySpace. I had a different date every weekend for like over the longest time, and then MySpace went away. So I had a Facebook account. I reluctantly used it. I only kept a Facebook account to keep up with high school buddies, but my online dating went there. And remember, you can only friend people that you know or you think you know. Like Facebook, it's like a 5,000 people limit, and you must be kept in this little box because you can't friend anybody you don't think you know. Oh, you've been adding too many people. You don't know any of these people. Do they know you? You get these notifications. Like I ended up just hitting up a few girls, and then that's it.
I remember that.
So you were like you're a MySpace tail chaser that you just wanted to
I was ripping and tearing different girls, sometimes two girls on the weekends. Ripping and tearing because I could reach out and talk to people. I had a method. I had a written the thing that I would type up, and I would mass send it to like 200 girls. And you get 10-20% of what you throw out. So it was infinite girls, no matter what. You couldn't do that with Facebook. You couldn't do it. So I ended up being in relationships that screwed me over. Thanks a lot, Facebook. I'm sorry, I have
So
to agree.
yeah, that's something. Oh, and my Facebook story. I had an account. I had it for like 10, 11 years, and right after the election was over, like my main Facebook, all of my backups got taken away, and then all of a sudden, without explanation, they just shut it, even though there were no restrictions or no checks on it or anything like that. They just shut it down, like without explanation, and didn't. And they literally said, well, you can have it back, but you have to send us your information. I went, no, screw that. But I mean, there were some actual collections on there that I lost that I'm probably never going to get back. I'm actually kind of, I mean, I still use Facebook because, I mean, I have to promote my stuff, although I haven't been doing a lot of it lately because of my employment situation. But yeah, they tried that, and it's like, I fortunately had a unofficial backup that I kept off that I restarted when I got my Facebook account shut down. And I only very, very, very recently started a backup account and put it on all the groups that I admin, so I won't run the risk of losing the groups that I manage the next time around. Because there's a couple of groups that I managed. I still haven't gotten one back. But I mean, it's like there were some groups on there that I like completely lost my ability to be the admin for. The Edmonton Filmmakers Group specifically being one of them. Anyway, let's get on with the last topic here, and then we can call it a night because we are well past 3 hours at this point. The last topic of the night. Wow. Okay. All right. This is a bit of a good one. With the
I'm so sorry to
economy-
interrupt. I'm so sorry to interrupt with the last article and stuff, but I'm extremely low on battery, so I may drop out at any point. So just
all right. Yeah. No problem.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
All right. So, with the economy in a downturn, like it is, certain departments, the diversity, equity, and inclusion departments are the ones getting axed. Now, I'm sure we're all heartbroken that this is happening. That doesn't necessarily go to include the corruption and all of the woke thinking that happens in HR, and heaven fucking forbid if you get an accusation of harassing a female employee on a site. But I digress, right? Woke DEI chiefs are getting fired and laid off all over, and of course they're the first ones to go, because having a position like that is kind of like a luxury hire, because you're basically hiring somebody to go around causing shit within your company and to like be a thorn in the side and make sure that you're conforming to environment ESG scores and all of that other stuff that is really like, I'm hoping when Peterson and that group of people meets in London at some point in the next 6 to 12 months, that is one of the things that they are going to be discussing, is how to take that down, because it's really bad. And I could get into something that I specifically saw, because I actually bit the bullet and I decided I was going to turn on the TV, and I actually watched a match from the Women's World Cup today. It actually ended up being a decent match, but if you look at the stands, like the stands are like 50% full. And some of the commercials, like there was one in particular that was like disgustingly misandric, right? And I mean, I've seen, like, for instance, TSN at one point, and this is no word of a lie. TSN at one point during I believe it was not this year's draft, but the year before. I believe it was 2 years before. On the NHL, no, it wasn't on the NHL draft. It was on the trade deadline show. They literally had, and this is no word of a lie, a credit card commercial with a trans woman getting pissed off because her credit card had her dead name on it, and she couldn't couldn't get her actual name on the credit card. I'm like looking at it, it's like, what does the fact that a trans woman, can't get her actual new name on a credit card have to do with the goddamn NHL trading deadline? These individuals, again, it's getting to the point now where you actually have websites that headhunt, and the condition, I believe one of them is called redballoon.com, is that, I mean, you cannot be woke. And I mean, it's getting really bad. I mean, we talked about this about 2 months ago. One of the best, like, I've been to 2 or 3 Best Buys in the city that I live in, and especially one particular store in South Edmonton. I walked the floor there, and there was not a single solitary white face on the floor. I also have gone into Staples, and I've noticed that there's a distinctive lack of white faces there as well. And I'm like looking at this and going, just from sheer random statistical probability in Canada, by the way, not in the United States, in Canada, something like 70 to 80% of the faces on that floor should have been white, right? And again, I didn't even notice race until 2020, but yeah, this whole wokeness thing. I mean, you could, if you had time, you could literally go into some of these big box stores and walk around, and a couple of them, and just with a hidden camera, of course, and record how many, like, the racial the fact that there's no white people on the floor at all anywhere. And go to several stores, you could seriously start to get some of these companies in trouble. And that's probably something that's going to eventually happen. Walmart is not participating in it, but others are. And, DEI is a kind of a luxury hire, and it's not a big surprise that they're being cut out. And with that, I am going to turn it over to Kelso.
Yeah. Get woke, go broke strikes again. And the only other thing I really have to say about this is originally.
Hey, Kelso. I'm sorry, I don't mean to interrupt, but I do have to. My battery's gonna die here, and I got 5%. So can I go really quickly?
Yeah, go ahead. Yeah, we're just about done anyway. So.
I hear about you biting bullet there, Naroki, but just let us know when you start biting the pillow. That's what's most important.
Whoa. Continue.
They have what's called cat toys in Thailand. Those are the lady boys. Completely accepted in their culture to be a lady boy. And guess what? They still cannot legally change their sex on their government IDs. So, I don't want to sound like a damn conservative, but people, just quit your damn bitching already. You're in America. You're free. You're free enough. I don't know. You're free enough to live in your own delusion. You don't have to drag anybody else into it. That's not freedom. But these people think That's what freedom is, dragging other people into accepting your delusion. And until you've done that, you're not free. And that's crap. I'm so sick of it. You know, it goes with everybody, even the government. Thinking they can do whatever the hell they want to people and get away with it. Everybody, and this is what I meant by overpopulation earlier. Socially, we're overpopulated because we can't get along with each other. Everybody's got too many different points of views and different levels of tolerance. And it's a powder keg at any point in time. Why? One of the reasons why we have shootings. So one of the reasons why we have, KKK, whatever racist groups. That's it's and we're all being shoved in each other's faces. It's not like everybody's in a rural town. They got their own acreage. No.
You know what I like doing, V? And sorry to interrupt, I'll make it real quick. Whenever I'm out in public, which is very often, I smile and I'm courteous to as many people as possible. I don't care if you're white, black, Asian, Spanish. I don't really give a shit. I thank people. I open doors for ladies. I do those things because that's the way I was raised. To be a gentleman when you're out in public, and we got to go back to those values. The problem is there's a lot of crazy people on medication in America and worldwide, and not just fentanyl, but other medications that are making them cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs. So the problem is we're losing the values because people are just indoctrinated by TV, the drugs, all the BS, and we've lost those core values.
That's why I would love to come hang out with you. You know what? I'm going to tuck my penis in between my legs, crack open a Bud Light, and we can hang out by the water cooler.
See, I do not drink, and I would never drink Bud Light. No, I'm serious. I haven't had alcohol in 20 years, even though I sound like a drunk half the time. I don't drink.
It's got 1%. Thank you, guys. I love it.
The next time we come to a Chicago in a plane that isn't imaginary? Oh, shit. Oh, well, that was that. He actually tried to come to Chicago once, but didn't quite make it here. That was the reference.
Ooh. I'm asking you what. Yeah. Well, whatever.
Oh, V's battery went.
Okay, so Rearson, take this show out.
I didn't say anything yet because V needed to be like, 5%.
That's right. Let the man here speak. Sorry, Kelso, go ahead.
Okay, yeah. So anyway.
That's right. You let this man talk. It's an important topic.
I mean, it would be really great if
yes.
all the hateful people, whether they're white, black, whatever, all these different hateful people, let them all go out in a field with a big pile of guns in the middle and let the problem solve itself. That ain't gonna happen, but it'd be nice. But what I was gonna say is that this diversity, equity, and inclusion Orwellian crap, originally. I mean, they switched the acronym around, but originally they called it the DEI policy. Remember, ruling class loves our symbolism. It was diversity, inclusion, and equity. And then I think they realized what they did, they see that we're literally trying to use this to kill the country. Better switch the I and the E around, hoping that more people will miss it and not pay attention to that. I thought that was interesting that first it was the DEI policy and now they turned it into the DEI policy, which of course DEI in Latin is God, but they do have a God complex. So guess now it's a double symbol. But yeah, get woke, go broke, big frickin' shock. So yeah, of course, businesses being businesses, when they see that this wokeness is crashing their business, at first they don't want to crash their business, so it's we better adhere to this SGI score, whatever the hell the acronym is.
ESG.
ESG score, because we don't want to lose our investors. We don't want to lose that money. But then they adhere to it, and then they're hemorrhaging money, and it's like, well, now we got to take a risk with the about the investors pulling out because we're already losing money because of all this woke bull crap. So of course all the wokies are starting to get fired now, and it's anybody's guess as to which companies will survive and how and what exactly will go on. I know right now they're really trying to fuck the actors and stuff. The strike that's on right now, like the biggest core of this strike, is actually ironically illustrated in a recent Black Mirror episode on Netflix in regards to being able to utilize someone's image with AI, to be able to make a computer generated character and whatever. And what the big industry wants these actors to agree to is that they want to be able to do full body scans of of their image. Like I heard, for example, they used Christopher Reeve as Superman in the new Flash movie. I haven't seen the new Flash movie, but that they did that by AI, and like how they use Carrie Fisher, using the AI deep fake stuff. But the actors are kind of like, hey, if you're going to do that, we want to get paid on a case-by-case basis. And,
Actually, Carrie Fisher wasn't used in that way. Sorry to cut you off. The way they used during Star Wars, they had old footage they had shot for The Force Awakens, and what they did was they imposed the footage they had, and they cut around and made that footage relevant to what's going on because they were actually planning on having her teach Rey in The Force Awakens a little bit because she was force sensitive. So what they did was they just imported those pieces of footage into The Last Jedi and mixed it into the story they were building that Ruin Johnson completely destroyed in his bad writing. But it was a novel idea. Now, when they used the Carrie Fisher kind of thing, it was more like, I think it was...
don't forget Rogue One.
Rogue One, yeah, it was one of the training montage, and it was like real quick. And also Rogue One at the very end, but that was like they had a stand-in actress and they used old footage and they de-aged to put the face on there, and
Well, what about
it's not like what, huh?
What about Tarkin showing up in Rogue One?
Yeah, but remember they had the family and his agreement
I know
use
they have their permission. Well, we're segueing. The point is, with AI getting better, regardless of the semantics of what they copy and paste or not or whatever, what they've been telling these actors is, oh, we want to do full body scans of you so that we could use your image within deep fake AI, CGI, whatever semantical terminology you want to use. We want to use these characters in perpetuity, so we'll pay you for the day, but we won't pay you in perpetuity. And these actors are like, wait a minute, if you're going to use my image in this way and stuff going on for years and years and years, if I was doing the real acting in that, I'd be getting paid for all the work. But you're telling me you just want to pay me once and then use it in perpetuity and basically not hire me to do the work? And then you just get all that basically for free. The actors are like, no, fuck you.
Yeah, but that's not been the case in a lot of the cases in America. A lot of the stuff that's been going on, they've had royalties paid later. So,
but I don't. At the same time,
to the families, obviously, because the main actor's dead.
Anyway, I don't feel sorry for these people because most of them have been supporting this whole woke agenda and virtue signaling and not standing up for freedom. So it's like, oh, you mean the industry that's trying to screw everybody else is now turning around and trying to screw them too, and now they're mad? I don't feel one bit sorry for these people, not even a little. And I guess that's all
Agreed. I agree.
Okay, Angel, you're up.
Oh, Oh well, I was just gonna say I agree completely with what he was saying. But it's funny because like I was talking about Carrie Fisher and stuff. In America so far, that hasn't been the issue. Now with the strike, I fear more for the writers than I do for like stuff like the faces CGI because that's actually not a bad idea. I would love to be able to see Christopher Reeve in a full-blown Superman movie again. Look, maybe in 10 years we could actually get to see a Nicolas Cage Superman movie, which a lot of us nerds want to see. And even Nicolas Cage was like, that was pretty cool. I wish there would have been more, but it was too brief. And the main complaint of The Flash was that the CGI wasn't good enough yet that they used in that movie. Now, I have no issue with that, but the writers is the one that's really getting screwed in Hollywood because a lot of the TV shows, for example, they used to do 24 episodes. Now they're doing 10 episodes, and then the work that they get is scattered for many, many months. So they're already feeling the crunch. Now, if CGI or AI or whatever this garbage is called could come in and take over the writing duties, that's going to leave all these great writers out of work, including the bad ones. Which here's the thing, though. Let's be honest. There's been a lot of really bad movies that have come out over the years, so maybe some of those writers needed to go anyway. But for the good ones, it's going to suck for them too. So I'm leaning towards supporting the writers. I don't really care as much as the actors because they're gonna like negotiate their deal going forward because if they're gonna use their likeness, there's gonna be royalties involved post the movie coming out, and this makes it so now we could again have Mark Hamill forever be our Luke Skywalker. We could have Indiana Jones always look like Harrison Ford. And to some of us nerds, that's fulfilling. Look what happened with Solo. Disney learned a lot about that from that movie. Nobody liked it, mainly why? Because the main actors sucked. He didn't look like Harrison Ford, and people complained about it, and the movie wasn't that good at the end of the day. But I'm just saying, as long as the actor's taking care of while he's alive and after post-mortem, when he's passed and his family gets royalties and stuff, I'm cool with it. The thing is, a lot of the actors that are agreeing to this are older in their 70s and 80s because it's one giant payday at the end of the last few years for them. Like, a lot of money's going, Luke Hamill, I think, or Mark Hamill, sorry, Luke Hamill. Mark Hamill got a lot of money from Disney and Lucasfilms to be able to use his face forever playing Luke Skywalker. So as the technology gets better, that's your Luke Skywalker. And as a fan, that's what I want anyway. So it's like a win-win. But I fear for the writers. I'm done.
Well, we don't have Vinny anymore. So Rearson, take this show out. Rearson.
All right, let's try that again. All right. The last great movie that was made that was Disney related, my honest opinion, was Endgame. It had its moments, it had its fucking useless feminist moments, but whatever. But they had, it was like a 10-year plan. Like they had probably, this thing was worked out, planned out, whatever the case may have been, probably for about 13 or 14. Oh my god, I haven't seen that thing in a long fucking time. Anyway, 13 or 14 years, maybe even so much as 15 between the sitting down, the planning, the scheming, getting the funding, and getting the writers, and then figuring out who the actors are going to be, and everything, and all of those stories that they all those movies they put out, the 3 Iron Man movies, the 3 Thor movies. You had the 2 Ant-Mans, which were good. we'll talk about Captain Marvel, but that's another story. But they had a fucking game plan. They knew what they were going to be doing. And it culminated with it culminated with Endgame being the last movie, and I enjoyed it. It was fast enough moving. It was well written. It was the last quality superhero movie, and but there was no real diversity. The die wasn't cast, shall we say, or D wasn't cast. Damn. Now, Star Wars has gone to shit. Shall we talk about She-Hulk? Can we talk about Secret Invasion? Haven't seen them. Not going to. Can we talk about what Disney let go for tax purposes from Disney Plus? So, at this point in time right now, the diversity officer was a corporate position that should never have been there. And if it wasn't for the machinations and the interference of, we talk about them a lot, and I'll add it in here again, fucking BlackRock. Pretty damn sure. Hollywood would not be in this mess. There wouldn't be the problem with the writer's strike at this point in time and everything else. But Hollywood is a massive shit show. There's too much crap that has to be cleaned up, and it's not going to be easy. It's not going to be fun, and it's going to get a whole lot worse before it will eventually, I believe, before it'll get better. But it is going to be absolutely disgusting in terms of there. Turn off the notifications. That's really irritating. These were executive positions that at the end of the day are expendable. They're expendable when shit goes wrong. They're expendable when you piss off your audience either directly or indirectly too much that they're not going to the movies. Just as Disney, they're almost $2 billion in debt and they can't afford anything more.
I don't think that's the case. I think they lost $2 billion this year or something close to that, and they're hemorrhaging money because they overspent. The parks are not doing well, but Disney has so much cash. And by the way, there's rumors Lucasfilms might be sold back to George Lucas, but you heard that here first.
Well, I've heard that rumor a little while ago already, as it is by inside sources, and I think it was DVD Overlord that mentioned it. I can't remember who it was. Anyway, at this point right now, that doesn't matter.
Doomcock talked about it too, by the way.
I love this to him. He's got some really good stuff. Anyway, but at this point in time right now, I'll consider the diversity executive position to be a social experiment in terms of corporate culture. After all of this, I don't think it's going to be around. If it is, I'll be surprised. And I could care less if I'm going to be wrong about that one. I really don't give a shit. But as I remember hearing Brian Mulroney, a former Canadian Prime Minister, had criticized, and we talked about this earlier with the student debt, with someone getting a degree in philosophy. Is it practical? Indirectly, it is. It is indirectly a practical education to have, because it makes you think. But can you monetize that compared to applying for a job that requires an MBA, for example, or a degree, a master's in economics? Probably not. But that's where the individual that has that education will have to figure out how they want to how they'll be able to sell themselves. So for me at this point in time right now, whatever. I'm glad that Hollywood is is having to eject these kinds of people because at the end of the day, they're as toxic. And as you had mentioned, Brian Johnson, we won't go there because that's a long discussion unto itself. But fuck me running, whatever. I don't really care that much. And when the dust settles, if Disney survives, and it will in some form, what it will look like, I'm not even going to speculate, and I don't give a shit. Do not be surprised that most of these diversity chief officers aren't around at all. So, and I'm just going to leave it at that. The sooner they're all gone, the sooner Hollywood is going to be one step closer to getting better, whatever that will be. And on that note, I am done.
All right, so thank you everybody for showing up tonight. This has been one of the longer shows, probably because we had a lot of guests on, a lot of people sitting in chairs tonight. Like I said, we already got two topics hammered in for next week. That would be a feminist frequency shutting down and Justin Trudeau getting it. Yeah, it is official. They're getting divorced. So that should be an interesting show. Thank you everybody for showing up tonight. Rearson, I'm going straight to bed here, so I will